We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mania podcast. Where we talk films past, present, future. I'm not starting it over. I'm your host, Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media. And joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, this is the third of the podcast I have yet to put on YouTube. Trilbee / Mr. Titus.
See, I was even going to say, last week there was no podcast because I was busy, it just didn't happen, but your viewers aren't going to know.
No, I think we have a month and a half worth of podcast. I have it on my computer at this point. But by the time you are hearing this, I'm telling you, it's going to be like Thanksgiving's tomorrow. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah,
Happy Christmas special of the Movie Mania podcast.
I hope 2019 is as amazing as I think it's going to be. I hope Last Jedi was amazing, guys. I've already gotten my tickets. I really hope it was good. Really hope Rey killed Luke, too. I feel like, hey, what? I'll call it now as we record on October 22nd, my time. And if Rey kills Luke, I'll say I called it on air. There it is.
Yep. And the Porgs are going to take over the franchise. I didn't realize that Snoke was a Porg.
Oh, I'm still bet on him being the stormtrooper that bumped his head in The New Hope. I love that theory. That's amazing. Have you been, Trilbee? You been all right?
Yeah, been good. Really busy week though. Been traveling up and down the country, and it's not even for work; it's for recreation. Because it was my fiance's birthday a few days ago.
It wasn't my birthday, Trilbee.
Sorry,
it wasn't my birthday.
It was my fiance. Oh, you. Damn it. But it was fiance's birthday.
Well, now we pissed off half our audience. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's okay. I'll still love you regardless of what the audience think. And we went down to see her family for a week, and then as soon as we came back, we went to a wedding. And today we're recording a bit later than usual in terms of time. Because I've been filming my horror short all day. It's going really, really well, and maybe you can relate, Trey. But when you it's like take number 5 or take number 6, and it just hasn't been working out, and then you do the take, and it's just it all comes together, and you're so
I told you
happy.
the door story, right? Of my actor trying to get through that door for 12 takes.
I think briefly,
Yeah.
but this one was there was so many different elements that needed to be timed together, and on the 5th or 6th try we did it, and I was so happy.
Well, we did for Equation, we did a lot of walk and talks. I think we have 2 or 3 in the film, and so one which was shot in a school after class had ended, after everyone went home. I guess it was 5 o'clock, and it was essentially just my actors going through the hallway, and we were 3/4 of the way through the scene, and it was probably the best take they'd ever done. And then you just hear the vacuum cleaner turn on in the background because the custodians are cleaning, and you just hear grrr, and then my actress starts laughing, and my actor really tries to push through it, and I just go cut, and then we all died except me. I was angry. I was furious because we needed that because we were losing so much time at that point. But yeah, so when it does work, the satisfaction is absolutely there.
I think we almost had it on the 3rd take, and then halfway during the take, the DOP is we need to cut. And I was like, why, what's up? It was brilliant. Yeah. And then he says, no, the memory card is now full.
Oh my god, yes. My DP, he always I'll watch the take, and I'll be like, oh, that was really good performance. I like the way, the moves where I like that, and then he'll go, no, we're going to do it again. It was out of focus. I'm like, thanks! Fantastic. Absolutely great. Just perfect. The most satisfying thing I think so far has been when you have dialogue in your script and you hear the actors say it out loud on camera for the first time. Yeah. It's pretty gratifying.
Well, it can go both ways. It can be it's really gratifying, I'm hearing this come to life for the first time, or it can be, oh god, this sounds like no human being would ever say it.
That's why you have table reads, and those script edits and table reads are vital before you get those cameras rolling. I'm actually holding auditions for my my next project in a couple weeks, planning for a mid-November shoot.
Well, it's sometimes you can even say it out loud to yourself, but then when the particular actor gets a hold of it, and it's their cadence, it's their accent. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, sometimes just reading it to yourself is not good. It's not going to cut it.
Well, it's a Xerox copy, isn't it? You have what you have in your mind, and then you say it out loud. And if you try to regurgitate that to your actors exactly, it's going to look ridiculous, or it's going to sound ridiculous. That's why they're actors, and I'm not.
Yeah. But we've got we're 3/4 of the way through the shoot now. If we do everything fine, we've got one more day of shooting. If it all comes together, now we've just got to find out when everyone's free and come back for the final day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really happy, but I'm also really tired. It has been a long day, and I'm recording this like a couple of hours after we wrapped.
I get that. Yes, yesterday, which is Saturday for me, we my school district had this big kind of their own version of Comic-Con, bunch of nerd weeaboo nonsense. I didn't attend, but they asked me to do photography. No offense to anybody that goes to that listens to this, because I know there are a couple of you out there. They won't hear for this for 2 months anyways. They asked me to do photography, and so I was gonna take a bus there. Because I don't drive, and then one of my friends like, oh no, I'll take you, and so, but he texted me that in the middle of the night, and so I got up at like 6 to get ready and have my coffee in the morning and get ready to be at the bus by 8, but the thing didn't start till 10, so he's like, oh, just go back to bed, you're fine. And I was like, you can't just interrupt my sleep schedule and expect me to just go back to it. Doesn't I can't do that. I can't get up and then just go back to sleep. I'm not that kind of person. So I was up for I slept for maybe 3 hours, and I was up at 6, and then I went to a party afterwards, and I didn't get home until like 1:30, and I was up for, it was like 21 hours, and then I woke up today at like 7, and so my brain is just, I've been at 3 a.m. Trey since like 2 o'clock yesterday. So the
thing is if you'd asked me, if we had recorded this last week and you would have asked me, Trilbee, what you've been up to this week, I would have been like, absolutely bloody nothing. Now a week and everything happens.
It's crazy because, like, but at the same time, if I don't do anything in a day, I feel like the day's been wasted. Like, the reason I do Movie Mania on Sundays is because if I don't do anything on Sundays, I feel like I'm just wasting away. I'm just saying, it's just a day to be lazy, right? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't like, as someone who is incredibly lazy, I don't like being lazy, I guess.
Yeah, but general advice to listeners, though, sometimes we need a lazy day. Like, don't make a habit of it, but, have one every so often.
I mean, if you want to watch, I don't consider going to the movies a big deal. Sometimes you just go watch a movie to unwind.
But I use that as leverage against my fiance when she's like, "Oh, Will, you've been so lazy. You've been so lazy today." I'll be like, "No, I went to work." "You went to the movies." It felt like work. Blade Runner's 3 hours long. It feels like work.
I went and saw Geostorm, and I'll tell you, it was a rough day at work today.
God,
but as someone who's had to sit through bad movies recently, I get it now. Every time I would watch like an Ebert review or like the schmoes, and they're like, the guy just was not. I get it. Having to sit for 2 hours and watch a boring slog of garbage, it's irritating. It's like watching someone chew their food for 2 hours. You just kind of get angry by the end.
Especially if it's like the 4th or 5th mediocre film you've seen that week.
Yeah, it's like when it was like, it's like when I saw Kingsman 2, I was like, and I think I saw Battle of the Sexes like the next day, I was like, thank God, because I could not, last summer was like that, summer 2016 was atrocious for like 3/4 of the way, and then like Sully came out of like in September, and we finally got a good film, and
it makes you appreciate the good that much more, which is why it's stupid when people say critics want to hate the movies they watch, and don't know we really want to be entertained.
Yes, God, please. It's honestly, it gets awkward. I mean, it's like watching someone give a speech and they're not good at it. You're just kind of like, this is uncomfortable. Anyways, we feel our first world problems aside.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Time codes in the description below.
Yeah, personal grievances aside. Let's get to the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Alright guys, this is the movie news portion of the show. We're going to talk about movie news we've missed in the past few weeks or so. Let's start off with the trailer for the X-Men The New Mutants. So, I wasn't aware that this is what The New Mutants was. Because from everything that I read about it before, this is a few months ago, I knew that Josh Boone was directing, the guy that directed Fault in Our Stars, which is a film I'm a fan of. I think it's one of the few good romantic teen drama, whatever it was, mainly because of those two casts, the two leads. But I thought it was going to be more like the tone of Fault in Our Stars, like more of like a teen film. That's what I thought was going in, because I knew they had a young cast. I didn't realize what this movie was. And so when the trailer came out and like I saw the poster for it, I was like, that seems odd. All right, it's a weird font. Maybe they're like rockers or something. And I put the trailer on, and I won't lie to you, I wasn't like blown away, but the surprise, like the shock, he really set in. I think it looks pretty cool, especially because it's a horror movie set in the superhero universe, which is something we haven't really gotten a lot of, like straight up horror.
I'm wondering, like, it's a good trailer. It's a really surprising introduction. But I'm just wondering if this wasn't the New Mutants, if this was just called The Asylum, or if this was like let's say a generic horror film that we knew was coming out next year, would we be responding so positively to it?
Well, you could say that. You could. I've heard that argument so far about this trailer, and I will say is that if you take Captain America: The Winter Soldier and you just make it. And you call it Deception. You know what I'm saying? It's just a generic CBS. It's a generic CBS episode of a TV show. You know, oh, there's a bad guy in the government, but it's the fact that it's a superhero film that makes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it takes it a long way, but I'm just. It's something I can't quite help but think about. That's not to discredit the trailer.
Yeah.
I think it actually looks pretty good. And even if what on earth is that person doing in the washing machine before it sets on fire?
Isn't that awful? If they put, I think that's Sunspot. If my X-Men knowledge is there, I think that's Sunspot, and they put him in a bloody washing machine. How messed up is that?
As you do, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what kind of dispels the concerns I have in terms of, this is going to be a generic horror film and we're only giving it a pass because it's a Mutants X-Men film, it's the cast, because you've got Anya Taylor-Joy, Maisie Williams, Charlie Heaton. This is a really good young cast.
Fantastic cast.
And Josh Boone, I've not seen Stuck in Love, but I wasn't a fan of Fault in Our Stars, but that is primarily
Judas!
It's stuck very close to the source material. There's only so much you can do, I guess.
You're not a John Green fan?
Not really. I saw Paper Towns, and Paper Towns is the absolute worst. But this looks good. This does look like something completely different from what he's done before. Whether or not he's able to sustain like tension as you can throughout a 90-minute film, 90-minute horror film, or maybe longer, who knows? But this was an effective first impression. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is a great pick for Magic. Because she's a really great character in the comic books, and visually, like even just the hair and the fringe, just a really great look for the character. And who's the character who's playing the mentor? Because I know it was meant to be Rosario Dawson, and then she dropped out, and someone took her place.
Alice Braga, who is in I Am Legend. That's the main thing I know her from. I think she's also in the Predator reboot with Adrian Brody.
Yeah, even though they lost Rosario Dawson, this doesn't feel like a downgrade. I think she's a really good screen presence.
I think Marvel might have made Rosario Dawson drop out BT dubs because she plays like a nurse in a hospital, and any like normal passerby that just like watches shows on Netflix like, is that the same character from Marvel? Because it says Marvel at the beginning. It was Matt Murdock, and idiots. It's fine. I understand.
Well, to be fair, I guess a lot of people don't know how the rights how the rights work.
I was going to say, because
at this wedding,
in my opinion, the Mortal City of Instrument Bones and Beautiful Creatures is essentially the same franchise.
Yeah,
that's a
But a few days ago at this wedding that we went to, there was a load of cosplayers there because it was like the groom was a big comic book cosplay fan.
Yes.
So there was someone dressed up as Captain America, and he went up to this young girl who was there because she was like, "Oh, it's Captain America, yay!" But at one point, I think this is what she said. I was only a few feet away, so I don't know if I properly heard her. But I think she said, "Oh, I wish you brought your friend Batman." And I just wanted to go over there and be like, they're not owned by the same company, you stupid
You're like that
girl.
guy in The Simpsons, like, excuse me, they're not the same property. It's one's
You're a fake geek girl.
Do you want? Well, speaking of stories about young girls, context aside, allow me to provide context. This is a good story. So last week, a couple of weeks ago, I guess at this point, I was doing a volunteer event, and we'll get back to New Mutants in a minute, I promise.
This is a tangent podcast.
Yeah, essentially, and we it was at an elementary school, and we were like, they had like a little mini carnival or whatever, and we volunteered to get those college hours, which is nice, looks good on resumes. And they put me at one of the games, which was free throw, which is basketball, because of course they did. Put the black man at basketball. Like the moment they told me, they were just like,
I was gonna go there.
Well, it was like,
I'm glad you did.
You're fine, Trilbee. It's whatever. They said Sherman White, basketball. I'm like, that's absolutely appropriate. And but all the little kids kept missing. And then this little frail, little short girl comes up, and she's dressed as Wonder Woman, like the gal that Wonder Woman outfit. So I guess it was Halloween themed or whatever. And she makes like all 3 free throws, and then she runs over into the arms of her mother. And then guess who runs over to the 2? Is a second mom. This little Wonder Woman had 2 moms. That warmed my heart and made me smile, and I was like, fuck you, Trump. I was so happy. I was like, I'm in a good mood.
I imagine that young girl dressed as Wonder Woman who did the basketball hoop. She did a Sigourney Weaver from Alien 3 moment, like nothing but net. she throws the ball behind her, it lands perfectly, and gets one home and just jumps out and it's like, oh my god!
Like all the boys are like keep missing, you just hear, get away from that, you bitch! Then she just walks over and just starts throwing them in.
And then she just picks up one of the guys and throws them in the hoop.
She just picks up a shotgun, does a one-hand shotgun cock like Terminator 2. Just all the strong female tropes. She starts wielding a lightsaber. Yeah, no, but that was the highlight of my night. I'm like, that's amazing. I was so happy. Anyways, back to film. Before we lose more of our audience from talking about politics.
Yeah, but New Mutants, it looks good. I'm wondering how much of a budget we've got here, whether or not these are just horror scenes, or if the whole film has this aesthetic and feel.
I like. I'm thinking like this is gonna be like a bottle. Like I don't know if it's gonna be like a straight up horror. I'm thinking this is gonna be like a psychological thriller that has some crazy elements to it.
I know that they did actually film in an insane asylum.
That's okay. So then they're keeping it in location.
I think that's where they predominantly spent most of the filming.
I've got faith in it. It looks good.
Medfield Insane Asylum is where they filmed the movie.
Okay, well. Also, you're right. It is a great cast. Anya Taylor-Joy's pretty much been on a roll since what did I first see her in? Was it The Witch? Maybe I guess.
The Witch. And she's in Split.
Split, yeah. And she's making a name for herself in these movies.
She was also in Morgan. Which
which that was Ridley Scott's
film,
boy, right? Ridley Scott's son did that one, didn't he?
Yeah, Luke Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was Morgan in that. So not a good film, but she was good in it.
Yeah, she's making a name for herself. All right, the next trailer we're going to talk about here. Let's talk about the Iron Man 7. I mean, let's talk about Black Panther.
Iron Man 7 is Black Panther.
Well, like, here's my thing, right? So in the trailer, which it's a fine trailer, I guess, but Sam Gavin, a friend of the show, Sam Gavin, tweeted out a very, very important fact I think everybody at Marvel and Disney needs to get on board with, which is it looks awful. As in, not the content, but the look looks awful. It looks disgusting. It's like, it's almost like, you know how when you for you guys that don't know, typically when you have a regular digital camera and you hit record, you get what's called raw footage, which is just essentially what you see when you're pointing a camera at something through the little glass window or whatever. That's essentially what raw footage is. And then you put it through a computer, and depending on, how you lit the film or however you want it to look, you'll do some color corrections, you'll add some contrast, you'll put it through some effects in to make it look nicer and make it look presentable to be put on an 80-foot screen if you're gonna watch it in IMAX like I do. However, Marvel has seemingly, since for the last 6 years, had this incredible issue of saying, you know what, we're just going to put the raw footage that we put in our camera on the screen and make $2 billion every time. And it's working, and it's really starting to piss me off, because this trailer looks disgusting. That's not my only problem with the trailer, but you go ahead, Shirley. I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
See, I think you have such a vendetta against this film. It kind of reminds me when the first trailer dropped.
Yeah.
You were like, the most memorable part was the white people.
Did I say that?
That was genuine. You didn't use those words, but you were like, I thought the best part of the teaser trailer was Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman.
They were the best part of this trailer, so I mean, I guess actually, it was pretty good when they did that fist bump, chest tap thing. That was pretty sick. I liked that. It showed some culture and a nice world building moment there.
Well, I'm just here because I watched it on my phone because I'm a filthy casual. So I watched it on my phone instead of on my laptop screen or on a big screen.
Charlie, we don't promote podcasts on this YouTube chat. We don't promote other podcasts. No, that's a podcast joke. Never mind. Keep talking. We'll cut it.
Very confused. I watched it on my phone, so maybe I didn't notice all of the raw footage complaints that you have. But the trailer for me looked pretty cool. I like the futuristic Wakanda. I like the flying machine, whatever you call it, the hovercraft that they're in. That they fly through the barrier and then Wakanda suddenly
the
there.
shield helicarrier blah blah plug-in, the Quinjet plug-in essentially.
But I also like which character was it? Was it Michael B. Jordan where he morphed into that gold Black Panther?
Oh yeah, when he just
became
became the other Black Panther. Yeah.
I needed to watch that like 2 or 3 times to find out, just to fully comprehend that effect. I thought it was a really cool transition. Okay, and that's nice. I'm wondering just how many times they're going to rely on that shot where he flips over the car and lands on the car in front. But apart from that, I thought they looked pretty cool. I liked them having that nighttime chase in what looked like to be a Las Vegas inspired city, like with all the neon lights, and he's bouncing from the different buildings. I thought it looked really cool. There's nothing really in here that's getting me incredibly hyped about the film, other than this is a really brilliant cast, and Ryan Coogler is on a roll at the moment. Fruitvale Station, Creed, he's a great director. But in terms of just what, like, thematically or character-wise, what's going on here, I'm not that hyped. But visually, I like what I'm seeing.
Okay, that's cool, Trilbee.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I'm just going to be the boring one. I'm going to toe the line. You're just
man,
gonna go...
I'm not saying I don't want a Black Panther movie. I've wanted a Black Panther movie. I'm just saying if you're going to do a Black Panther movie, do it better than this. And granted, I haven't seen the film, so for all we know, the film's great. It's a good Marvel movie. But right now, everything that I'm seeing, like 6% of it has actually impressed me. The shot on when he flips into the car that they've put in every trailer so far isn't even that impressive of a shot. Unless like behind the scenes footage comes out and you actually see Chadwick Boseman and/or his stuntman flipping around on a wire or something and actually landing on a car, it's just a bunch of computers. And that's a lot of what this trailer is. It's just computer stuff. I'm looking at a bunch of digital effects. There's that shot where he's like, oh, I'm going to jump and run across the building. I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man did it like 15 years ago and they did it real. So what is this supposed to impress me? When he flips around and throws those blue bombs or whatever, and I presume blows up some cars, that doesn't look good to me. And then Andy Serkis, who is usually great, is like, I'm going to fire my CGI arm at the CGI car, most likely with a CGI blast, and blow it up CGI like him. I'm not impressed by it. Barton Freeman's good in it, though, because it's Barton Freeman, so he gets points. But the world does look nice, though, and I am looking forward to seeing how they do Wakanda. And maybe seeing it on the big screen will impress me, seeing it projected in 4K or whatever. Maybe that will help. But as of right now, I could not care less about the film.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning a lot more positive than you are with the sounds of it. But I'm still not going to be incredibly so enthusiastic that I'll defend it from all of the slights you're giving it.
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty cool, but I'm not. It's not the type of trailer that makes me immediately pre-order a ticket.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the trailer has to do that right now. It's not at that stage of the marketing yet. We've still got Thor coming out in the next week or two. Yeah. So, I think the next trailer's really going to have to hit out of the park, because it has been a bit a bit middling. Like, the trailers are fine, but I kind of expect more than fine at this point.
Lupita Nyong'o, Chadwick Boseman, Danny Guetta, Forrest Whitaker, who I didn't know was in it, Alfre Woodard. Like, this is like, first of all, as a black kid growing up, these are all people in Tyler Perry movies, and they're all great, and like, these are all fantastic actors, and they all can give fantastic performances. I'm really excited. Also, to those who are probably warning that I'm complaining about, like, oh, he's just wanky about the cinematography. The cinematography in Thor doesn't look that great either, but I'm still really excited for Thor because it still looks like it's going to be a good movie. I can't say the same thing for Black Panther. I don't know. Then again, I wasn't necessarily looking like so much, I wasn't looking forward to Spider-Man like everybody else was, and I ended up loving that film. So, for all you know, this could be a kind of a dark horse for Marvel. No pun intended. Very poor choice of words.
I think the phrase you're after is a black horse or a Black Panther. If you will.
This will be a Black Panther for Marvel. Yeah.
Do you
follow?
On Twitter, I can't remember, I'll find the name of it, but there's an account on Twitter which does pictures from a film where they name drop the title, but they completely change like the dialogue itself. But I think it's called Title Drop, or I've got to find it. Sorry, I'll search for it now while we talk about the next story.
Yeah.
And actually give you the proper one, because some of the titles that they drop, it's really funny. But yeah, I'm sorry to just derail the podcast for a second, but I'm gonna look for
Trilbee,
this.
we've already discussed this podcast is nothing but a series of derailing. Okay. All right. So our next story here, probably the last one I think we're going to talk about today. So there was last week, I think it was, because Sunday was the day after Homecoming, and we recorded something that day, didn't we?
We recorded something because it was the day of the Justice League trailer.
It was the day of Justice League trailer,
and then
we
a day
talked about
later
that.
they dropped the Last Jedi trailer.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. And I ended up that next day. I woke up and I felt really sick. I think you know how people get con flu. I think I got Homecoming flu because I for like a week I was just this horrifically sick. That did not stop me, however, on Monday from refreshing my phone and checking to make sure that I got my Last Jedi tickets. And I've got my tickets for Thursday night at the IMAX. I'm ready. I'm excited. Nice. I'm so excited because Trilbee, on Monday, they released the trailer for The Last Jedi, and oh my god, does it look fantastic. As you are all aware, I didn't love the first trailer. I love this one. Holy shit, I'm so excited. And I'm a little upset now because I know for a fact that Rey's not going to turn to the dark side now, because otherwise they wouldn't have put it in the trailer. But whatever. I'm still excited. Trilbee, what do you think?
Okay, see, for those of you who don't know, when you film the footage, that's called the raw footage. And then when you put it through... I'm kidding. This is a really good trailer.
I thought you were going to show this entire... Like, this cinematography is beautiful. What are you talking about? Look at all the red.
Like, as you know, I'm not someone who's so emotionally invested in Star Wars, and I tend to just not get incredibly hyped for these films until like the day before I'm about to see them.
Yeah,
this trailer was awesome.
It's so good, and it's like it's in layers, isn't it? Like you can find different things about this trailer to fall in love with. For me personally, it's the look. The movie looks stunning. I'm not just talking about like colors, because like, even though the color is mwah, whoever's idea was it to have a salty planet where there's red underneath is a genius, because red and white is such a beautiful contrast. It's gonna look so mwah, I'm so excited. They shot it with IMAX cameras and I'm melting. And then and they put Leia as one of the head focus of the trailer. We hear Luke, we see Rey training. They put a dolly zoom in the trailer. Trilbee. I'm so ready.
Just everything, like even the design of some of the creatures, like the ice wolf.
That ice wolf looks great.
That briefly turns around. The Porg looks incredibly adorable.
I want one, Trilbee. I'm not one to fall for this marketing, but goddamn, do I want a Porg?
I've seen some Porg Funko Pops like on store shelves, and those look really, really bad. But I like the plush ones.
The plush Pogs look great.
Really cool.
But Disney knew. Like Brian Johnson was like, I have an idea for this thing. Disney like, yeah, we've got it. The Porg, and I love the noise it makes. The music in the trailer is fun. There we go. There's our Porg noise, people. The music in the trailer is great. I love how they're incorporating the Rey's theme as kind of the main motif of the trailer. You've got the Kylo Ren theme in there. I have theories, and I feel like I know what's going to happen in this film, but that doesn't stop and quell my excitement any less. Because a lot of people are warning that this trailer showed too much. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Trilbee?
Well, in terms of spoilers?
Yeah, in terms of like the trailer spoiling stuff.
Well, this is such a great balance, because with The Force Awakens, it was the first Star Wars film in about 10 years, and that everything was so secretive, and J.J. Abrams' mystery box stuff. That in a way, I think it kind of hindered some of the marketing. Yeah. You got some, like, you can only do that so many times, and I think they've smartly still given us very little plot, very little to actually latch onto, but plenty to speculate about, and plenty themes and scenes and ideas for audiences to put together in their heads, even if they don't necessarily reflect what's going to happen in the film. Like Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, is she going to get a shot and killed by Kylo Ren in the TIE Fighter, or are they really going to like join forces and like bring balance to the Force in a different way, so it's not light versus dark, it's like a melding of the two at the end. There's a lot to think about, but that's just a great trailer here. It doesn't give us enough plot. It gives us so much more to work with, though. It's a brilliant balance, and I think it's easily one of the best Star Wars trailers that I've seen since probably the teaser trailer for Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, with
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it like opens with Lord Vader, yes, my master, rise, and then as he's rising up in the slab, there's footage from the film.
Yeah.
Film isn't good, the film itself, but that trailer.
Well, this trailer reminds me a lot of I think it's the teaser trailer for Force Awakens, like the one where it's the first thing we see is Finn, or we get the jump scare Finn. In that, all you really know from this trailer is that stuff's going bad. Like, nothing in this trailer makes you think, yay, like at least in Force Awakens, it's like, look, it's Han, it's Chewie, oh, X-Wing's exploding a TIE fighter, Force theme, oh, we're gonna take down the bad guys, Finn's got his lightsaber, and he's gonna fight. But this trailer's like, Rey is being controlled by Snoke, Finn's gonna fight Phasma. Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. Finn's fighting Phasma. Is Kylo gonna kill Leia? Luke doesn't want to be here. Like, everything about this trailer just screams bad. Everything from this marketing screams that it's gonna be awful, and that makes me really excited, because I feel like Rey, I feel like she can't lose a hand, because if she loses a hand, that just kind of poetry, it rhymes, but I cannot imagine. I had a stress dream the other day, Trilbee, that I missed my screening for Last Jedi. Like, I had a stress dream that I sat down in the theater and some big guy sat in front of me, so I couldn't see the movie. That was my stress dream. And I don't know, a part of me just sits there and cowers in the thought of that ever happening. But I overall love the trailer.
Yeah, it's there's no such thing as hyperbole. This is just an outstanding trailer. Probably one of my favorite trailer that I've seen all year.
Yeah. In other news,
the film itself will work.
Absolutely. Random tangent. I've recently rewatched the trailer for Iron Man 4, like the first teaser trailer where all the suits are blowing up and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
I did a. I'm actually probably going to make it into a video version, but when I was writing for Geek Feed, I did a top 5 MCU trailers, and I think that was number 2 or number 3.
It's really good trailer. It's it feels like it's the end of every, and I love that trailer so much. The first Age of Ultron trailer is good too, but that's one of my favorite Marvel trailers. Just a random tangent about trailers.
Well, that trailer is basically, here's Iron Man getting his ass kicked for 2 hours.
Yeah, essentially, and that's what you think is man, Tony Stark's finally gonna get what's coming to him. All his demons are gonna. Oh wait, no, he's just an actor. All right, great, fine. Who do we get? Guy Pearce. All right, I guess. God, that movie's fucking garbage. Okay, you know what? I may be angry again.
But I've just found that Twitter account now. It's at Say the Title, and the Twitter account is called Titular Lines.
Titular Lines.
And basically, you've got the actual. Sorry, I'm just reading some of these. Here's one for Blade Runner 2049 that he posted on October 10th, and he's got a photo. It's the hologram lady. I forget her name in the film.
Joy.
Yes, Joy, and it's and the photo is captioned, "Look at me, I'm the Blade Runner now, and by now I mean the year 2049." And it's just there's
That's
one,
amazing.
In Up, when there's the shot of Carl and his wife in the opening 5 minutes, and they're in the hospital, and she's crying, and the doctor's talking to her.
Yeah.
The caption is, "Well, I guess from here things can only go up."
It's I'm thinking, they Photoshop to look at the camera, things can only go up.
But there's just a Twitter account full of these fake title drops. For the Terminator, it's Sarah Connor about to crush the Terminator under the hydraulic press, and the quote says, "You're the Terminator, fucker."
I like how they did one for Matt Damon. It's just two of them. It's Math Damon. Math Damon.
Yeah,
Let's make a pact right now that before graduation, we'll all fuck an American Pie.
Yeah, and a Clockwork Orange. It's juice o'clock, boyos. I know because I'm a Clockwork Orange.
God, that's amazing.
So yeah, follow at Save the Title. Really funny. For Rambo First Blood, the caption is Rambo. He's sobbing, going, First Blood.
It's just a picture of Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna do a face swap. We could do these for eyes from the up one.
But there's for Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ, but it's called Mel Gibson's The Only Jew I Like, and the caption is "No, you're the only Jew I like," as Jesus is dying.
Yo, Adrian, I'm Rocky too.
So, yes, we are not being paid or sponsored by this Twitter account, but you can totally
We ought to be.
Martha versus Martha, but it's from Batman vs
Superman. Okay.
Oh, God. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Close the book. That's the final chapter.
Like it's a Shrek movie. All right. Yeah, I did love that trailer though. I don't have any other news stories. Your teeth hurt, Jesus.
My cheeks hurt.
That's just your teeth hurt. I'm like, you should get that checked out. I don't have any other news stories written down here. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to talk about.
I think that was everything.
Mm-hmm.
Die
Fantastic.
hard, motherfucker.
Die harder, motherfucker. Die hard with a vengeance, motherfucker.
Oh boy.
I suppose today is a good day to die hard, motherfucker. Okay, let's get to the homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment.
Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
Okay, guys, this is the homework portion of the chapter. We're talking about movies we are either assigned to see or just saw on our own, Morty. I just slurred my words like I was drunk. Okay. So I guess we'll take this time to talk about Blade Runner. That's what we'll do this week. We'll talk about Blade Runner. So I saw Blade Runner. I think I saw it last week. The last time we recorded, I left to go watch it because like my laptop died and we recorded like a 20-minute listener questions, and then I did dip to go to the movies. Fun fact:
we were on the time limit.
Yeah, I thought the movie started at 4:45. X started at 4:15, so we walked in 2 minutes late. Which I was salty about because I'm like, I missed the first shot of a Roger Deakins movie. Now I'm sad. But do not fret, Trilbee, as I got to see it a second time for my birthday, the weekend after.
Did you pay a full price ticket and then after the first 2 minutes walk out? It's like, okay, I've seen the opening shot.
All right, no, I say it like out loud. Well, now I'm satisfied. Now I just gotta step out of the theater.
And then people who don't know the context are just like, what's wrong with that guy?
The person next to me is like, did he make a mess? Oh, okay, so fun fact. Okay, quick fun fact about Blade Runner. So I stepped out of 2049 when the movie ended, and I was walking like in a movie. Typically in American cinemas, there's like hallways where the screens are. I don't know if that's the same way it is in the UK. So like you have the main lobby, and then you have a couple of hallways where the screens are. Then you walk into the auditorium. So I'm walking towards the lobby, and then I hear. I think what was it I hear? I heard breathe, just breathe. And I heard like the Force theme. I was like, is that? And like I just kind of like almost like in it feels like in the cartoon when your nose like gravitated because the smell pulls you in. My ear like floated towards the near auditorium, and I just walked in and watched the Last Jedi trailer on the big screen for 2 minutes. It was pretty good. Anyways. Yeah, it was pretty great. But that screen was awful. Watching Blade Runner in IMAX and then watching a regular movie trailer on a regular movie screen is like, man, this looks awful.
It's a bit like Rick and Morty when Morty experiences true.
Yeah, right. Like you experience true. You watch like pure cinematic magic. Like essentially, it's just like a chocolate bar of movies, and then someone just hands you like a piece of a leaf. You're like, I guess I'll eat this.
Existence is pain, life is worthless.
Thanksgiving's about killing Indians.
Yep.
Oh yeah, essentially. All right, so let's talk about Blade Runner 2049. I'll give my brief non-spoiler thoughts. I guess I don't know. What do you think, Trilbee? Because
Yeah, I talked about it a couple of podcasts ago. I almost said a couple of weeks ago, but God knows how long these podcasts take. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I thought that I preferred it to the original, but bear in mind, I'm not the biggest fan of the original. I just think the original is pretty good. I thought that this was an improvement, but a lot of what held it back was its ties to the original film and how it kind of was being bolted to that prior continuity. But I still really, really like the film. But we'll talk more spoilers very shortly. But what were your non-spoilery thoughts?
I love this movie. It's so good. It has like two or three things that hold it back from easily being the first 10 out of 10 I've seen this year. And I think I put that when I first saw it in my tweet. I said it's near flawless. It does have some setbacks, but just the experience. I mean, even taking aside the visual assault on your eyes of like as Roger Deakins literally just like he's showing off in the best way possible. Like Michael Bay shows off on the screen in Transformers, and it's irritating. Roger Deakins is like you're like watching a chef make a great meal. It's just no one alive right now is doing what Roger Deakins is doing, and it makes me happy. But we'll get to all that in a second. The film in and of itself is in the story and the questions they choose to pose, the characters, the plot twists, multiple twists. The cast is amazing. Almost everything about this film flows and connects so beautifully, and I found myself more emotional in the second time around in certain scenes, especially towards the third act, than I was in the first time. The first time I was just kind of like when the movie cuts to credits, because it ends very much, it doesn't end very grandiose. It just kind of ends. It just kind of ends, and we just kind of cut to black, and then I was just kind of left in shock. But once I realized, and I watched a second time, and I realized that it was wrapping up and what the movie really was, I just found myself just mesmerized. And I found I think I shed like that cliche one tear, like I was at like in the movies. I think I shed one tear, and the movie cut to credits. Like, that was so masterful. And the people I saw were like, that was boring. I'm like, idiots.
I hate you all.
Like more. Like I feel like Scar. I'm like, I'm surrounded by idiots. Like, you, God, we need a new plague. But it was
That escalated.
Well, that's just why I used to like I'll be in the hallway at school and someone will just drop the N-word and shove me around, but I'm just like, we need a new plague. Like, people just need to go. We need like I won't be the one to do it, but I mean, if someone wants to, go on, spread it.
If you want to do it, I would just sit.
No one's ready. No one's ready for SARS again. Just drop it. I know we're not. So just do it. You know what I mean?
No one's ready for SARS again. Just drop it.
Add that to the wiki page, please. That's my new top of the page quote. No one's ready for SARS.
Oh boy.
Oh god. Okay, no, but believe it or not,
that's the darkest thing I've ever heard you say.
Really?
I think it might be. Because it sounded like it was coming from a very real place.
Very real place. Like, I said it so earnestly, like as if I clearly believed what I was saying.
It was also just the lead up to it.
The levels, the escalation, and then you're like, wow, the conviction behind that statement. The film
like is... Citizen Kane just clapping.
Just that one gif.
I'm sure the listeners are enjoying this because I'm having a really fun time this week.
The listeners probably thinking like, Jesus, Trey.
No, but they'll just be like, why are these two laughing all the time? This is not funny.
I feel like this is a show that's more fun to record than it is to listen to. I feel that way every week, and then I always get 4 tweets. Where's the podcast? I'm like, well, I guess it's a fun podcast to listen to.
This week, definitely.
This week, it's good to have you back, Trilbee. It's been a while.
Oh boy.
All right, so but the film overall, I think it's a damn near masterpiece, and it's probably my favorite film I've seen this year, which is saying something because I think I've seen probably 4 or 5 films other than this that I would give above a 9 out of 10. Which I think there's this. I really liked It, Baby Driver, Dunkirk, Get Out, Logan are some of the better films I've seen this year, and this is probably better than all of them, and that's saying something. I give it like a 9.6. I really like this movie. Hope Last Jedi's better, because then that'll be the best year of my life.
Oh, yeah, great year for sci-fi, definitely.
Yeah. Right.
If you count Star Wars as sci-fi.
Yeah, it's fantasy, Trilbee, but we won't get into that here.
Well, this isn't sci-fi. This is neo-noir.
It's pretty much it's a detective movie, right? Like I won't give it, but like there's a shot where Ryan Gosling walks out of like the smoke of his car, and which is now my background, by the way, and it might and it might as well be like you might as well just hear blah, 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 like the saxophone music and like the narration, which was apparently it was in the original Blade Runner, like that's. I need a like a Blade Runner 2049 noir cut, like of just a whole film in black and white, because I feel like I might like have a heart attack from too much excitement.
Maybe, but still, like the sequences where he's in the desert, like in the irradiated Las Vegas with the beehives and just the beautiful burnt copper sky.
I think I actually clapped, like, because there's a certain scene in the film, and I won't give a. You know, this is our jump into spoilers, so spoiler alert, bwant, turn away if you haven't seen it. And by the way, for all you losers that went and saw Boo 2 and Madea Halloween this weekend and didn't go see Blade Runner, go fuck yourselves. Anyways, the Madea made like $30 million this weekend, and Blade Runner's struggling to make some money, so please go see Blade Runner. It's a good film. Please go see it. God, don't go see, I don't know, Happy Death Day. Like, don't do that to yourself, people.
Or Geostorm.
Or, oh, God forbid you see Geostorm. Trilbee, SARS. I'm just saying. So, like...
So the Geostorm is the film that makes you push the button. You walk out of Geostorm, and with Gerald Butler's like voice in the background as you're on the phone, you say, "Launch the SARS bomb. Break the glass."
In case of incompetent cinematic going, you just
break
glass.
In case of Gerald Butler film, break glass. I almost did it for London Has Fallen, but you did it for Geostorm.
Like, you know what? This isn't working. No, but like, yeah,
Start over.
In spoilers now, we're in Blade, but there is in the scene.
You are Rick in the very first episode of Rick and Morty. You're like, oh, we gotta start over. I'm gonna drop the bomb.
I'm just gonna drop. We're gonna drop the SARS bomb. We're just gonna watch. There's gonna be a breakout of SARS next week, and the government's gonna come find me.
It's gonna be a trip.
They're gonna find me.
If that happens, you don't publish this podcast.
No, they're listening to me right now. What am I saying? I'll just have to figure out a way to have the words president and B-O-M-B? I spelled that word wrong. In the same sentence, and they'll suddenly I'll be on their watch list, because that's just how the government works here in the States.
Anyway, a spoiler-filled shot that you were going to describe before.
There's no, you're fine. I think it's after the main android kills Robin Wright, and then she goes to the computer, and it's like Las Vegas, and then you just hear I think it's when, and that's when we get like the jump cut to him in the desert, and it's that shot you see in the trailer where he's walking through the orange, and like, oh my god, because like, because I think because when I went and saw the film in IMAX, the screen essentially doubles, like, for the whole film. Most of the time you watch a movie in IMAX, the screen will double for certain sequences shot, or if you're Transformers, it'll jump every 2 frames. But this, like, the whole film was expanded for IMAX ratio, and so when it goes from that and it just jumps and it's just orange and Gosling, I just did a slow clap of like I think I'm okay. And like my friend Christian, who is a cinematographer, like an aspiring cinematographer, he like I heard him next to he was next to me. I just heard him go, oh my god, like he was audibly giddy with like just pure like just bliss. With that, this is junk food for me essentially. I can look at that film all day. It's so gorgeous. I might make it my new. Yeah, but go ahead, Trilbee.
Well,
sorry.
That whole set piece. It's like I know a lot of people say that you could probably lose about 5 or 10 minutes from it, but it's such a great atmospheric mood piece, and it just seems like a massive mic drop for the whole industry on behalf of Roger Deakins.
Can we let's just mail those files to Marvel? Get Kevin Feige's email and be like, let's have the caption be cough cough, and then just send it to him. Like, come on, man, it's not that. Yeah, there's a reason Villeneuve went to Deakins when he was given Blade Runner. He's like, I need you for this. I've got ideas.
Well, this man has been nominated for best cinematography 13 times,
and he hasn't gotten it. He's the
win.
Leo DiCaprio or he's the Peter O'Toole, if you will, of yeah.
Well, for me, he should have won at Skyfall in 2012. He got robbed of that by Life of Pi. Like Life of Pi, great visual effects, but that's not that's done on a green screen and a back lot. Like no offense to Rhythm.
No. It's a beautiful film, and that's why didn't the company go bankrupt from that movie?
Yeah. They went bankrupt like a few weeks before before they won their Oscar.
Yeah,
which is kind of depressing.
It is a little depressing. That's a movie I want to see.
It's so weird that on the poster that Harrison Ford is in the blue and Ryan Gosling's in the orange when it should be the other way around.
Really, I've seen posters where it's the other way around, where Harrison Ford's in the orange and Ryan Gosling's in like the kind of the Los Angeles misty blue, and he like it's that shot of him like next to his car in the mist when he's on Dave Bautista's farm. That is one of the big posters I've seen.
What a cool opening! How cool is Dave?
Yes. Oh my
god!
It's
good.
And none of the trailers tell you he's a replicant, Ryan Gosling. And I thought the big surprise of it was going to be that he was a robot and that he was hunting Harrison Ford, who was also a robot. I thought that was the plot of the film because they don't tell you anything in the trailers. At least they didn't tell. I only watched 2 trailers, and I think there was like 4 or 5, so I didn't watch all of them. But right from the get-go, you understand like, oh, okay, no, he's a robot. So because he gets thrown through a wall by Dave Bautista and then just kind of gets up. I think, and he drops one of the coolest lines in the movie, which is, "Please don't get up." I love like after he finally manages to strangle him down. It's like, please don't get up. Yeah. He still has that Gosling charm to him, just like him being kind of robotic in the film. No pun intended.
Well, I think Ryan Gosling's terrific in this. For me, he's like the whole MVP of the film. And
absolutely,
he's in basically every scene of the movie.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether or not him and Denis Villeneuve just did not get along behind the scenes because he puts him through the ringer. Like he's always getting beat up. He's covered in blood and like he's put through the ringer in this.
I think that scream that Gosling does when he's like choking the android out underwater was just him laying down a grunt of frustration. Because there's a scene where I think towards the end when the water is the car is sinking into the water and he's like choking this girl under the water and he just goes ah, and I think that's just Ryan Gosling doing that because he's so frustrated from this filmmaking process. But at the same time, this is a very expansive, it's a very expensive film, and I feel like Denis Villeneuve, while he's a talented filmmaker, I feel like he's the kind of filmmaker that's like, you know what? 13 takes. We're just going to do just because I want to see. I need the extra footage to look at. I feel like he leans more towards the Fincher or Iñárritu side of filmmaking.
Yeah, or maybe every other actor, they get like 1 or 2 or 3 takes, but with Ryan Gosling, because he hates Ryan Gosling so much, it's like, no, we'll do 15 takes of him.
This is for not eating your cereal, Ryan. That's a Vine joke if you guys don't know.
He slips Harrison Ford like $20 and says, in this take, can you punch him in the face?
Yeah, like, actually hit him, please.
But that's such a cool sequence. Yes. You've got like the hologram Elvis in the background.
Like, the musical jump scares of like, of Elvis popping in and out, yeah. It's not even like the music fades out and then gets louder. It's just like silence and then you just hear, but it's not music. It's just like it's audible. It's buffering noise and like it's great. That whole set piece, with the exception of like there were some weird pauses and there were some weird beats in the dialogue that I think came across as a little awkward. And I think you said in your spoiler-free kind of take on it a couple weeks ago that the film, you could cut 10 minutes from the film. I think you can cut 10-15 minutes from the film as well. I think you cut the sex scene. I love this. I love the ambition of that. And there was a point when that happened, I turned to Christian, I said, what the hell am I watching? But I was like, and he's like, I don't know, but I kind of like it. I'm like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm curious. Like, we had like a little dialogue in the middle of this film of like, what's going on? Granted, we were like one of 5 people in the theater, but like it was goddamn shame. But it was I feel like you can cut that scene in of itself.
Well, yeah. When I say you can cut maybe 5 or 10 minutes, it's maybe I know this film is predominantly atmosphere of him walking slowly through different environments. Maybe if you cut 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, when he's going
that's
through
a great. That's put that on the DVD cover. Ryan Gosling walks slowly through different environments.
That's going to be the honest trailer bit.
Oh,
it's like a montage of him.
I don't know. We haven't gotten an honest trailer in like what, 2 weeks? I feel like
But how awkward! Like, the last honest trailer that they did was Blade Runner, and then there's this. They make fun of the scene when Harrison Ford forced himself onto the replicant, and then it cuts to Harrison Ford in The Force Awakens saying, "That's not how consent works." And I'm like, "Oh god, that's bad timing."
Yeah, but at the same time, it's honest trailers, man. Like, I don't expect anything else from those guys. Like, I in terms of like timing wise, I tell you what, he has been terminated. Update in case you guys been aware of the story. He has been.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger terminated, as in he's been let go of his
yeah, like he's not. And I don't know if I should say this on a recording, but fuck it. I hope his wife leaves him too. That's just my personal feelings about it. Because don't put your kid through that experience. If you're Andy Signore's wife, don't do that to that poor child.
Next time on The Tangent.
Right. I love that the podcast could just get that dark. Anyways, back to sex scenes.
Yeah, that sequence, it was really tastefully done in my opinion.
It is.
I wouldn't cut anything from it.
Okay.
I know that the film's gender politics are a little bit questionable in that, with the exception of Robin Wright, every female presence in the film is basically a replicant for the man's pleasure. But like the politics of the film aren't great. But still, with that sequence in particular. Even though it is just like two artificial intelligences like wanting to be with each other, I really believed the romance. I really was invested in this relationship.
It's weird that so that whole joy effect, I think it's I feel like it's a mixture of practical and CG, because there are times where like it feels like I'm watching, I'm like, she's not physically touching him, but at the same time, that's the point. And so there was like this weird uncanny valley disconnect with me watching this of like, she's not physically touching Ryan Gosling, but it's not because it's bad CG. I don't think she's supposed to be. So did they like film her touching Ryan Gosling's face and then like CG fade her hand out to make it look like he's not it weirded me out. And then the sex scene, I'm like, what is happening? This weird like motion blur doubling effect of like, and then I'm like whose naked body is this technically? Is it the girl from Black Mirror, or is it Joy? I was so confused. But
is it the girl from Black Mirror? Is it the girl from Knock Knock?
Good pull, Trilbee. Good pull. That's being one of the only two people on planet that watched Knock Knock, and not for the reasons you might think.
I like Keanu Reeves.
I was just saying, I'm a Keanu Reeves fan, so I was like, I'll watch it. Awful film, piece of shit. Eli Roth is not talented. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
But I would say that the main issue I have with Blade Runner 2049, and I really like the film. I prefer it to the original, mainly because this actually, the story actually has some sort of momentum to it. Because with Blade Runner 2049, it feels more noir than the original Blade Runner did, because this is a mystery that needs solving.
It's about something.
Okay, yeah. So this is something has happened to replicants that has never happened before. They may be capable of giving birth. We don't know if Ryan Gosling as Kay is the child of this replicant. We need to track these people down. We need to solve these mysteries. Whereas the original Blade Runner, it's not really a mystery. It's just sort of, these replicants are on the planet. We need to get rid of them. There's no mystery to be solved here. So I actually think that I was more invested in the story of Blade Runner 2049, even though it's like nearly an hour longer than the final cut.
Yeah,
I didn't feel the length. But for this, the main issues I have are that it's so tied to the continuity of the original film. Like, we need to bring back Deckard. We need to have these callbacks to the original film, and I think this film works so well as a standalone piece. Like, if you get rid of the calls to, if Harrison Ford was no longer with us and they made this sequel, let's say in another 20 years' time, I think this is a much better film. Like, if it's in the same universe, but it is a completely new cast of characters, and I think the ability to be able to stand on its own, my voice is going, would really work in the film's favour. I don't know.
So you feel like it'd be better if kind of like how in Force Awakens we never actually see Luke until the very end. Like, where the movie's more just about the fact that Luke did something, in that sense. Kind of so maybe like so you think you cut Las Vegas, this movie works a lot better.
No, well, or maybe if you don't need to bring back Deckard, because Deckard, because in the first, he's not a very good Blade Runner. He's terrible at his job.
Ryan Gosling isn't great either. I mean, like, he's not.
He's better than Harrison Ford was.
He can shoot, I guess, but that's all he does.
Well, the most interesting part of the original Blade Runner is the replicants who the plot is trying to kill.
Yeah, Roy Batty.
Whereas the most interesting part of 2049 is the world and also Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
As Kay. And like Deckard is not an interesting character to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think in terms of it's one of Harrison Ford's weakest roles. I think not because of him. I just think it's just so underwritten and so poorly characterized. And then the film has to bend over backwards to bring him back. And also the idea that the replicants are also capable of giving birth. I was like, okay, maybe these brand new ones, but the one for what's her name from the first film was capable of doing it. It's like, it just feels like the plot is bending over backwards in order to call back to the original film, whereas this one maybe should have tread its own path in the same universe, but a completely new cast of characters and no callbacks to the original. Maybe you can have a throwback or a line of dialogue every so often. But
I liked the connection to the original. I didn't feel like it was, unlike something like Force Awakens or Jurassic World, I didn't feel like it was far too handcuffed to its source material. But I mean, we can disagree on that point. What I will say, what I did enjoy is the how the film handled whether or not Deckard was a replicant. Whether they in a sense, they straight up said it doesn't matter with the whole dog thing, which I thought was amazing. Is it real? I don't know. Ask him. I know, and I love that kind of. I like to imagine that kind of with the dog was their tackling of whether or not Deckard was a replicant or not, because we open up and find out that replicants, certain generations can age. But you can also imply that Deckard is a Nexus 7 replicant, and he was programmed specifically to go and fall in love with Rachel and have the first kind of replicant baby, if you will. But I also do like the commentary that the film is stating, and you can make commentary for so many different kinds of groups and so many different kinds of ideas and philosophical questions. I think it was I forget what the question is. When she, I think it's the Resistance lady, which, by the way, sequel setup, which we're never gonna get. That's probably my other big problem in the movie. We'll get to that in a second. When she asks, if we can have kids, what makes us different, and I thought that was a nice kind of poignant question that you have to kind of think about, and I think also the fact that I felt really sad for this android that I shouldn't feel sad for because it's a robot, but the fact that it clearly has a soul, or like Robin White says, you're doing perfect, you're doing pretty fine without one of your own, especially when the hologram calls him Joe, or when he just kind of lays in the steps and just kind of dies, like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to sit here and lie in the snow. The most beautiful scene in the movie.
I don't think he dies at the end. It's one thing that I didn't like when I was watching it, but then I reflected on it and then I saw what they were trying to do. It's the idea that he thought that he was this replicant baby. He thought he was special, because the person who was literally programmed to think he's special thought he was special. Yeah. But then he realizes, no, I'm not, but I'm going to help out anyway. Yeah. I'm going to do this anyway. Because... He's
just a guy, and I love that. By the way, that's what they should do with Ray, but whatever. Please.
So when he's on the steps at the end, when he's battered and beaten, I don't think he's dying there. He's just like, okay, I've been put through the ringer for like the past 3 hours.
I'm gonna take a nap. I get that. Yeah,
it's sort of like, okay, I've earned this, and just this feeling of satisfaction that I've saved, that I've reunited this family, and that I've done right because I chose to do it, not because I was obligated to do it. Yeah. And that feeling of self-satisfaction makes him feel more human. Okay.
I get that.
I think that's kind of what I got from the ending of it. Yeah. But what you were saying earlier about the replicants, whether or not, like, if they'd be the same as humans.
Before we get to that, if I can talk about the ending real quick, since we were just there. I would have edited the ending just a tad bit differently. I kind of like the way Nolan does his endings, where it's kind of like a montage cut of different things happening. I'm thinking, like, I like the idea of ending on Gosling a lot better than ending on Deckard and his daughter, because it's a nice shot. But I kind of like this idea of, you know, Deckard goes in, Gosling sits on the stairs. We cut back to Deckard, put his hand on the glass with his daughter, and then we cut back outside as the music's kind of building, and Gosling kind of lays in the stairs. Maybe he can breathe or something. Then we cut that way. That's just how I would re-edit that ending. I would edit that just a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree, because it's Kay's story.
Yeah.
And I think Deckard, while he's a big part of the narrative, even though he's only in the last 30-40 minutes, he's kind of an accessory.
Oh, that's true, isn't it? He shows up to like the end of, like, towards the end of the second act. Or, and halfway into the second act, yeah.
I think it's full on the third act.
Oh, you think the third act starts with the desert? It is a long movie, that's true.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say that about the 2-hour mark out of this 2-hour 45-minute film is when he goes to Las Vegas.
Right, yeah.
I think I agree that it should end on Kay, because it is his story.
Yeah.
But the one aspect I kind of did take umbrage with, and you can call me a filthy SJW if you want to, but the politics in terms of if we are able to give birth and we're just as human as them, and the fact that the idea that if you can't give birth then you're less than human. There are some humans who can't give birth, and some humans who can't father or mother children.
I don't think that's what they were going for.
I'm it's unintended consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
It's
sure,
it's like Black Widow.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, oh, if you have a low sperm count or if there's something wrong with your womb, you are less than human. I don't think that at all.
Yeah.
It's the optics look bad.
I think what they were definitely going for is that these things can procreate, and they're more than just sacks of skin and meat. You know, they're more than but at the same time, people who can't give birth are also more than sacks of skin and meat. You know, but I do.
What makes you human is what is in your mind.
Yes,
like we are just. Our bodies are vessels for which the mind is able to travel and think and prosper.
Oh, so all right, someone get the weed out. Oh God.
Oh man, we're just sacks of meat, bro. So I think if the replicants tie their humanity to something that's attributed to their biology, I think that's a bit of a mismanagement.
It's dangerous. You are right, Trilbee. That is incredibly dangerous to base it off of biology, because that's how you get questions of you know I don't want to get too political, but that's how the gays and all that stuff.
But it's also especially how the guy who's building them, Jared Leto, who's making the replicants,
who is in a completely different movie, by the way.
Yeah,
like
eating the scenery, those pure scenery designers.
He is awful in this movie. Like that's something else. Like he's to hold this movie back for a bit. He's just like, and when I saw this again time, I'm like, man, he's just awful. Like, he's not. Have you seen that video of I think it's Maggie Smith, of how when the little kid asked her about being McGonagall, and she was like, "Just get it together, son." Like, have you heard that story?
No.
She was like I think like a little kid like walked up to her, and she asked him, or he asked her, and he asked, "How come you're not? I thought you were a cat lady." And then Maggie Smith like put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Get it together, son." And like, so, it's a great story, isn't it? I think she told it on Graham Norton, but like I felt like, Jared Leto, get it together, man. Like pull yourself out of whatever rut you think. Like, what a pretentious wank of a dude. Like, come on, man. Yeah. He is in a different movie and it drags. He's barely in it. He's in it for like 5 minutes, but still, like,
it also doesn't help that he seems to be a loose end in the film that's setting up for sequels.
He's here just to talk like this, Trilbee, and blah blah. Hello, it's nice to see you. You can't see this, but I'm moving around a lot in my chair. I'm like waving my hands around and moving my head. God, he's just awful. Just awful. I'm sorry, tangent over.
And I also think because he literally blinded himself to play the role, why couldn't he just get an actual blind actor? Like, I'm not one of those guys who says that we need, if he's in a wheelchair in the film, he must be a disabled actor, but
wouldn't help, or excuse me, wouldn't hurt. Excuse me, that was that was almost a slip up. Wouldn't hurt.
No, but if he blinds himself, he's a liability, because if he actually got a blind actor, they'd be more independent because they'd be used to it.
Yeah.
But also, I think Jared Leto easily given the weakest performance in the film. But I love the supporting cast. Like I said, Dave Bautista, even though it's a small role, he's really good. Barkhad Abdi just randomly shows up, and I'm like, oh, it's that guy.
That was
he's
fun.
The captain now.
I turned to Chris, I was like, he's the captain now. Yeah. That's going to be him for life, right? Like, that's what he's now. That's him for the rest of his days, right?
Yeah.
He could be like the star of the next Star Wars trilogy, and we're all going to be like, oh, that's the captain. Yeah.
when Mackenzie Davis showed up, I didn't recognize her. I was just like, I know her from something.
It bothered me until finally I yelled out, "Oh, Sandra Napero!" That's the girl from Black Mirror, right? That's what.
Yeah, I'll always remember as Mindy from The Martian. that's how I kind of know her. So she shows up with the pink hair, and I'm like, that pink hair's doing it for me.
Oh well, we found it. He found what he's into. All right, I'll send some emails.
No, send help. It's a real problem.
Send help. Especially you're just like surrounded by a bunch of pink dye. It's just like, please call somebody.
Yeah. But
Pink Panther music's just playing in the background. All right, I'll stop.
I know that the replicants are meant to be like more of a metaphor and kind of an abstract concept in a way, but I just find it weird how Jared Leto's like, I can't make ones which are able to give birth, but for some reason, years and years and years, decades ago, we made one that could give birth. Why can't we do it again?
That's a bit of a plot hole, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, make them like that then. I know it's easier said than done, but it's just another way of, like, if you didn't tie it back to Sean Young's character as Rachel from the first film, you could have like tied up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
I also don't buy, once again, another tie to the original, that those two have a really romantic whirlwind love and they really love each other.
That was something else. Yeah. No way that was rape. Yeah, it's just straight up. That was.
Yeah. And also, I kind of find the stakes to be a little bit weird to comprehend. Like, obviously a film doesn't have to be like, oh, it's the end of the world, there's going to be a giant robot army if we don't save the world and stuff. I'm not asking for that, but if Ryan Gosling, I'm just going to call him Ryan Gosling instead of Kay.
Yeah.
If Ryan Gosling does not complete his mission, what are the stakes here? I know they're very personal stakes, but when it's trying to be a grand world building epic,
you made a comment earlier about what this film was and how it's Kay's story, and I don't necessarily agree with that. In my opinion, I think it is either the continuation or the conclusion of Deckard's story as told through the eyes of Kay. Which we get movies like that all the time. Like, I feel like, Beauty and the Beast is the story of the Beast as told through Belle. Like, you can find movies and TV shows like that do that kind of thing all the time. And so I think the stakes are far more... Because granted, it's an expanded world per se, and it's a huge, grandiose scale of a film that spans a lot of areas, including an area in Los Angeles where it snows apparently. But yeah, that bothered me. But I think it's very much a personal story about what happened to Deckard and how and the kind of conclusion to what Deckard went through in the first film, as told through the eyes of this replicant cop. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I think it's also down to my personal preference that I just have never found Deckard an interesting character.
You know what? That is an important part, yeah.
Yes, I really latched onto Kay.
Yeah.
And that's why I viewed it as his story, and Deckard was a bit of an accessory to him finding his place. With the fact that he doesn't have to be special or unique or a once in a generation replicant. He's just got to do his job.
He's just a guy. Take notes, Kathleen Kennedy. He's just a guy. Okay, so can we talk?
He's just this replicant, He's just this guy.
He's on many sides. Can we talk about the?
He's on many sides. Where'd that come from?
So should we talk about the threequel setup and how they just kind of threw it in there? Even the first time I watched it, I was like, why are we setting up a Blade Runner sequel to this one? Can we get, only if we get it in like 30 years? Can I get 2079 by the time I'm in my 40s, please?
Yeah. In 2079, it's when will it will come out in 2049.
It might come out in 2049.
Blade Runner 2079 bombed at the box office. Again!
I'll just be sitting there with my coffee. Damn fools. We need another plague. It didn't work.
Break the glass again. And then Gerald Butler is like an 8-year-old
This time, bird flu. And I just get a hammer and smash the glass. Smash the vial.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Yeah. The sequel hook.
Yeah, this weird thing of like we're starting a revolution. I'd like to see it. We're never going to, but I'd like to see it. I would like to expand to different parts of the world would be great. But at the same time, I don't want to lose the interpersonalness of the noir style storytelling, which it's possible to do, which this movie proved that you can do an expansive, kind of very open world and still keep the story kind of claustrophobic and personal. You know what I mean? Does that make, I would love to see, maybe they've talked about how they've colonized planets. I'd love to see something like that in this universe. And I'd also love to not focus on the story of Kay, you know what I mean? As great as a protagonist he was in this film, I'd love to go somewhere different and kind of get like almost an anthology film set in this universe that's not a continuation of the story we've already set up. That's just what I think. If they were to continue on this franchise, that's where I would take it.
Yeah, if they did like a Blade Runner miniseries just set in this universe, it doesn't even have to be like one, like a.
And someone cough up the money to pay Roger Deakins. All right.
I never work for TV. The screens are too small. But where's the IMAX TV?
You see Marvel, that didn't work.
Like it could even be like similar to Black Mirror. It is just standalone sci-fi stories set in the Blade Runner universe. They don't even have to be set in one time period. One of them could be set in 2019, and then one set in 2049, and then wherever in between. I'd like to see more.
Just have one set in the 40s, just cause. set in the 1940s.
Yeah, Blade Runner 1940s. Steampunk tanks. Before, it's kind of like one reason I really wanted to get away from Deckard and the previous ties to the original film. Like, I'm sure like massive fans of people who consider Blade Runner to be a perfect, incredible masterpiece really like just loved it when Rachel came onto the screen, like an aged down Sean Young, and they found all those Easter eggs and callbacks really awesome. But for me, it was just like, I like these new characters. Can we spend more time with them?
Her eyes were green.
That was pretty cool.
That was good, yeah. Did she have green eyes? I thought they had like red eyes because they were robots.
I don't know.
Also, did you see did the robot puppets not have red eyes anymore?
They don't have the reflection. They're identified by the barcode at the bottom of their eye.
Oh, that's right. You know what else I loved? That the test thing they did for Ryan Gosling, where they kept asking questions like rapid fire that only robots would be able to answer that quickly. It was great. I loved the intensity. I love the intensity of that test. Blah 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 blah. Within draw. Blah 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 blah. It's so good. I also like that
felt like I was sitting in the seat going, "Stop asking me questions."
I also loved their update version of the enhance sequence where it's like, cut to 7, cut to 4. All right, pan out. And we're like, all right, this is them trying to do the whole enhance, de-enhance, enhance from the original Blade Runner, which I always make fun of in my personal life. If my friend will zoom in, I'm just like, enhance, and I'll just start laughing. All right. Anything else you want to add about the film, Trilbee?
Yeah. What did you think of the twist as to who the daughter was?
The moment she said daughter, I knew who it was. I'm like, well, there's only one other prominent female character in the film, and it wouldn't just be a stranger.
Oh, it turns out it was Robin Wright. So I don't think the ages line up, but I'll go for it.
Hey man, I'm like, hey, maybe the job was stressful. Maybe she's got older. Yeah, I mean, I picked up on it. I figured something was up when he straight up just like, oh, you're his son. I'm like, well, that was quick. Okay, all right, I guess the movie's about this, I suppose. And then like, they kind of kept making a big deal out of it, almost like it was still a revelation. I'm like, but I thought this was more the setup of your film. This happens in Act 1. But then she was like, and the daughter. I was like, daughter? Oh, so it's the memory lady. And then it was, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
The lady in the memory lady was good. So
I've only watched 2049 once. So I'd be interested to watch the film again and watching her scene where she's looking at the memory of him in hiding the wooden horse.
Powerful scene, yeah.
Because she recognizes the memory as being a human memory, a real memory.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Gosling flips the hell out and she starts like she has her trademark tray single tier.
The tray single tier. The TRT.
I'm wondering whether or not, with the benefit of hindsight and knowing the ending of the film, whether or not that performance leads to that. Whether or not she's playing it like, does she recognize it as her own memory?
I'd like to imagine, because apparently because Ryan Gosling, he was never a child. Like, that is what they confirmed in saying, that he was born a replicant. Probably fell out of the same weird Jared Leto sack. Which sense, this is not a sense I thought I'd say today, but like, and so
Get back in the sack.
Now back in the sack. And they put him, and they plant the memory. I guess that she put the memory of herself in the factory in there. I don't know if it was planned. I don't know if they did it just cause. I don't know. I guess that was what she had, so she put it in. I don't know why he specifically got her memories.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
40-minute film. That's some info that you probably could have let us know.
I don't really care, if I'm honest. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really change much. The fact that he has, I guess, in the sense that the second act is all about the memory of him at the factory. But at the same time, it's also a major red herring. So it's not a deal breaker, but I think a bit of clarification would be nice, because it's like, oh, this is a great scene. I love this bit of the film. Where did that memory come from? It just sort of like breaks the flow. Well, I think the factory sequence is usually the weakest part of the film. I still think it's a well shot, kind of beautiful sequence. I think everyone's good in it, but I think it's definitely where the film slows way down. Like, one of the people I saw it with was like, I was really hoping that they were gonna just show me what was like, just show me the wooden horse, because the movie the music just kind of keeps building, and it's like, he opens up the grate, he dusts off this pile, he opens the cloth, one flap, two flap, it's the wooden horse, and like, it takes like 3 minutes for him to open up that wooden horse. I'm just like, just open up the horse, like, just you know, we as the audience know what it is, because the music's been building for the last 5 minutes. We know what that is.
Yeah, it's like slow moments like that in the walk through the Las Vegas desert are absolutely earned and awesome and worth every frame. But then, sorry, I completely lost my sentence. Stuff like when they're in the desert, and also when he's in the child factory, and then the child drops something off the table, and you know that if Kay wasn't there, the owner would have decked that kid.
Oh yes,
but
I loved
the way he reacts, and he's like, "It's okay, it's fine," because Kay is there. Like, slow moments like that are not integral to the plot in any way are absolutely earned and awesome. But him slowly opening up the horse with the cloth, and that's, you could cut like 20 seconds out of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there are just little bits like that film where I'm like, you can trim that. I think this film can be a solid 220. I in my eyes, this movie's a 220 film, but 245 isn't like super long. I've seen longer. I've spent longer time in the theater than that.
Yeah. What I'd do is that I'd cut 20 minutes from tangential moments and shots in the film, and add 20 minutes to the robot love scene. And then it's still 2 hours 45.
Like, just straight up, you know how like Team America's just like puppet sex, just like robot sex, just like hologram robot sex, every detail.
Just holograms just pounding on each other. Pounding on each other.
The best part was he hearing it, because it scared the living daylights. I was like, what was that? If you could, like, if Kingsman can get away with showing someone getting fingered, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can do a lot in movies these days. All right. Anything else you want to add, Trilbee?
I think that's it. This is a film that I hold into much higher regard than the original Blade Runner, mainly because the narrative really had me gripped. And while there were some long scenes that you could probably cut in 2049, there's nothing compared to the enhanced scene from the first film, or the really awkward replicant rape scene, which has not aged well. And I just find Kay to be a much more compelling and interesting character than Deckard. And I love the romance between Kay and Joy. I thought there's something really endearing in its earnestness.
I love the ambiguity of the ambiguity. Can I say that word the first time? I like the ambiguity of it, because she before she dies, she says I love you, but at the same time, are they programmed to say I love you when you threaten to shut them off? You know what I mean? And it's those things of does she call him Joe because the program recognizes that that's what he likes to be called, or do they call everybody Joe? You know what I'm saying?
It's weird that it still feels real to him, and I think that is it's the whole, even though they're not really human, they still feel these human things, and that it's real to them.
Yeah.
And I think it's further carrying on and enhancing on the themes from the original Blade Runner, and it's just so earnest, and it's played so well, and like that love scene is so tastefully done. It doesn't feel exploitative.
No, it feels very. You're right. I think you started well when you said earnest. It feels very earnest, and it feels like we deserve. He deserves it. You know, like you feel like he always has rough days, and his girlfriend, quote unquote, genuinely wants him to have a good. Wants him to have a good. Oh my god, we didn't talk about that. The Solo movie. We didn't even talk about Solo. Should we bring that up briefly?
Wait, what about the Solo? Sorry.
They gave it the title. Solo.
Oh yeah, I think it's. I don't know who first started it on Twitter, but it's someone saying, okay, and you had 5 minutes to come up with a title, and it shows.
Smuggler's Run was right there, but whatever. All right.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Just call it Han Solo or Han. Like there's. I mean, I guess Han would have been like, I'm not watching no Asian Star Wars movie. I don't know. I understand why Solo is like. Yeah. People are idiots. I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't like the title, but then again, I don't like much about this movie going apparently.
Well, the title is so generic and so what I thought it would be that I honestly forgot that it had been given a title. But going back to
sorry,
to Blade,
I was on Twitter, so that was what that was.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, because when she says "I love you," Kay's not the one shutting her off. The remote's going to get stamped by one of the security guys.
Yeah.
Or what's her name? Is it
Love?
Yeah. She's gonna blink her out of existence, and even though she's probably programmed to say "I love you" and to have these affectionate responses, they're still real to her, I think, and she still means it, even if it is a programmed or canned response, and it is just another idea of what it does mean to be human, to have that. Even if these emotions are artificial or programmed in you, does that make them any less real to the person having them?
And I think that's one of the questions the film does ask, and it works on the replicant side as well, you know?
Yeah. It's why the replicants are the most interesting part of the Blade Runner universe that we've seen. It's why I prefer that. I love the replicants in the first Blade Runner as opposed to Deckard, even though he may be a replicant, but it's not. He's still not an interesting character. But the replicants that he's killing, for me, were. Yeah. There's also one of my favorite shots of the film, and it's not an atmospheric mood tableau or wonderfully lit and all that stuff. It's when they're running. Deckard and Kay are running to the car.
Yes.
And then he runs through the door, and then Kay catches up by crashing through the wall and following him.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch.
And it's the one shot. There's no cutaway where he bursts through the door, and it's just... There's no massive grand entrance. He just bursts through the wall.
Well, yeah, because Deckard runs in, locks it, and then he's running and you just hear, God! The Kay just bolts through it. It's a nice touch. It's one of those little character beats. That
It's just a shot that I was so impressed by how they didn't draw attention to it. I just thought that was awesome. For some reason, that moment just really stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have anything else to talk about, but that is a good moment. I mean, that whole Las Vegas sequence, it looks beautiful. But I could have a gif of Ryan Gosling, you know how in Black Mirror, not Be Right Back, but the second episode where they just kind of live in a bunch of TV screens. If I can just have that on my wall, just in GIF mode of Ryan Gosling walking through that desert, I would be a complete man. You know what I'm saying? I need that. I need almost every shot of this movie can be a painting. I think there's that shot of when Joy first sees Rain, which is a nice, beautiful sequence, both emotionally and visually. And they're standing standing, and we cut to that wide shot, and it's already a beautiful shot with the rain and the blue, and then Deakins, just to be the man, just adds a couple of cars driving by, and you see the red flashes, and it's just that, and you didn't need it. It doesn't do anything to enhance the story. It's just a little touch to show that whoever's behind the camera knows what the hell they're doing. It also shows that Deakins really wants that Oscar. And if you gotta have the most beautiful looking film of all time to beat this movie like this year at the Oscars. Like that, there's no way they don't give it to Deakins, right? Like there's no way they don't give it to him easily.
I don't see any other competition.
Like
normally, like once or twice a year, there is like a high concept, big budget sci-fi or genre film like Life of Pi or Hugo or Arrival.
Yeah,
this is the film this year, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
like, this has got to be it.
I don't understand how you don't give it to Deakins.
Yeah, and I just hope that if he's brought up on the stage and he wins the Oscar, whoever's hosting says, "Oh, also we have the 2012 Oscar for Skyfall." But
Jimmy Kimmel just walks on stage and hands him 4 more. He's like, "Here's "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" No Country for Old Men.
Redemption.
Yeah, he did Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it was his first Oscar nomination.
Jesus, come on, guys! Come on, guys!
1994, 24
did he do?
Years.
I feel like he did Road to Perdition. Did he do Road to Perdition? I feel like he did.
I'd have to double check.
It looks like a film he would do. No Country for Old Men. Here's Skyfall. Here's Sicario. Just cause. I think he did Prisoners as well, didn't he?
He did do, yes, and that was amazing. He didn't do Road to Perdition. That was Conrad L. Hall.
I bet he won that. I bet he won.
American Beauty, Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a Sam Mendes guy then. Not anymore. Now he's Deacon. Now that's not anymore.
Now he is. Now that's Deakins.
Yeah, now it's Deakins. Okay, yeah.
And Hoyton, and what's his name? Who did
Hoyt van Hoytema. Ooh, you know what though? If it wasn't for Blade Runner 2049, I would have given it to Hoyt van Hoytema for Dunkirk. But damn, Deakins.
Oh,
Deakins. Yeah, like
Deakins has got to have
I love the fact that like
much lighting and so much methodical pacing.
Like Hoyt van Hoytema was like, don't worry, no, we've got this. And then like they're like sitting in their office and like an assistant walks in and it's like, sir, you're gonna want to see this. And like they just pull up the TV and like pull up the Blade Runner trailer, and then no one's just like, shit.
I just got this like. He's going over the dailies and the footage, and he's like, "Oh, I think I've got the Oscar this year. It's going to be brilliant." Then there's a knock at the door, and then a postman comes in and says, "Telegram for you, sir." And then he opens the letter, and then it says, "Hold my beer," signed Roger Deakins.
What's that saying that everyone says? Like this picture, it just says "bet," and then it just see Roger Deakins. Or like he sees Deakins sees the trailer for Dunkirk and he's just like he puts his coffee on and he's just like all right, someone get my camera, someone get my IMAX camera, and like he gets like and like, but what's your Deakins? What are you gonna do? And he just pulls out an orange crayon. It just like starts scribbling on all the frames. He's like, I got an idea.
Yeah, he turns his camera on, and then the sort of like that bassy hum that is the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack just starts booting up.
Wow. I love that soundtrack, by the way, by Zimmer and Wallfish. I think it's a beautiful soundtrack.
It's brilliant, but I've heard that people who watch the film in IMAX are not a fan of it because it's too loud, apparently.
As someone who has seen the film in IMAX, I had no issue with it. What I will say is, though, the sound in this film, depending on which theater you attend, is... I think it's more the theater's issue because they've turned it up. Like, they turn up the sound... It's like I was watching Dunkirk in the... Like, I saw Dunkirk 2 times in the theater. In both theaters, it was super loud and, like, bang, bang. Like, they had the sound turned all the way up. But one theater, it was nicely sound. It wasn't too loud. It sounded like a movie theater. But the other thing I went to, it's like the headphone, like, you know when you listen to music and your headphones are clearly too loud? It was more like that than it was a good sound. And I don't know what that Alamo Drafthouse, which is a movie theater chain here in town, I don't know if their plan was there, but that's the point, I suppose. I like that. Hold my beer. I love that so much.
But I guess like the class of Roger Deakins that he sends it via like telegram. Like,
or you just hear in the background, phone call from Mr. Hoytema, and he just picks it up. It's like, try me.
I'm thinking it's more like that guy from Back to the Future 2. I've got something for you. A letter.
$20.49.
Yes, the letters come from the future.
I've got to tell you about the future. I won't lie, you're not gonna. It's like when Leo DiCaprio watched.
You're not gonna win the Oscar.
Like Leo DiCaprio like worked his ass off for Wolf of Wall Street, and then like someone walks in and says, Have you seen Dallas Buyers Club? And Leo's like, no, why? It's like, you might want to see this. And then it's just the scene of Matthew McConaughey crying in his car, and DiCaprio's like, damn it.
In this hypothetical letter that Roger Deakins has sent, he's got the letter that says "Hold my beer," and then inside of it is just like a few Polaroid photos, with some frames from the film in it.
It's just the film stock of 2049. A couple of shots, and then like there's like a close up shot of like the stock, and then he puts it down. It's a close up of Hoytema's face, and just a single tear falls down his cheek.
A trademark tray tear.
The tray tear just falls down his face.
yeah, and then it lands like artfully on the film.
The film stock. And then, like, in, like, a weird meta thing, we, like, pull out and pull through a screen and cut to Roger Deakins, like, shooting that scene himself and then winning a second Oscar for it.
Oh, yeah. As the tear falls onto the film stock, it transitions to the scene where it's Joy in the Rain. She bathes in his tears.
And then we just jump cut to the DC offices, and it's like, man, I think Justice League's going to be a real success. I think, we're going to be the highest rated superhero movie of the year. We're going to make a lot of money this year. And it's going to knock on the door, and it's like, telegram for Mr. DC. And it's just a Thor Ragnarok poster.
Yeah.
It's just a copy of the Infinity War trailer.
Yeah.
Oh. I love these metaphorical race wars we're doing among
I just love these weird alternative scenarios that we conjure up.
Oh, God.
Like how we had Hunchback of Notre Dame stealing Captain America's shield. I love this podcast.
Oh, damn. Okay. Wow, I forgot all about that. The Hunchback steals his shield like fucking 300. Oh, God.
Hey, Kwasi, give it back.
No. Sanctuary.
And instead of Spider-Man swinging in to steal the shield, it's the Phantom of the Opera on the chandelier.
Quasimodo is just limping away. Oh my God. I'm sweating. I kept my fan off for when we do the show, so I don't have to edit out the fan sounds, but oh my God. That's really off. My cheeks hurt. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
That's amazing. Okay.
Oh boy. So yeah, I would give Blade Runner 2049. I don't often do decimals like you do. I would go for a 8 out of 10, but this would be a scenario where I'd probably do an 8.5 if I did do decimals.
Okay, I see. Some movies really have to impress you to get like a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I have no response to that.
No, you're fine. I was just curious about how your system works.
I definitely get it. I'll definitely get it on Blu-ray.
Okay, yeah. All right, Jeremy Johns.
Yeah, no alcohol required.
Yeah.
Also, he's not listening. But best of luck moving back home, because I know he's not on Collider anymore. He's moving back to.
Yeah. Well, I like to imagine that he's one of those guys like kind of like John Schnepp of like, you know what, I'm not gonna do the whole Hollywood bullshit. You know what I mean? I feel like he doesn't want to deal with the bureaucratic nonsense that probably goes on around those offices. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna point any fingers, and I won't name names, because when the whole screenwriting things happened, a lot of people pulled a Harvey Weinstein and said, I had no idea this was happening. People knew this was happening. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about people's boyfriends. Well, I mean, the people at the office had to know this was happening. But whatever.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory.
But for Jeremy, I know he had a year-long contract. Contract expired. He chose not to renew it. He wanted to move back home. I don't think there's any ill will or anything
fair or
anything nefarious going on. I wish him and the rest of the crew absolute best of luck. I really enjoy all of that content.
The Schmoes are still my boys, though. Those guys are they're the reason I'm here now. All right, so listener questions. Go ahead.
Well, I do have one film. I'll be quick because my cheeks are hurting. In comparison, I don't have that much to say about it.
All right.
I saw Goodbye Christopher Robin, which for those of you who don't know is the true story of A.A. Milne, who was the writer of the Winnie the Pooh books, and it's kind of like that version of it's the UK version of Saving Mr. Banks, where it's this story about this really innocent character, the genesis of this cultural icon, but it turns out the origins were very, very depressing and filled with a lot of family drama, a lot of family issues. And Domhnall Gleeson is really great as A.A. Milne, who's the writer of these books, and Domhnall Gleeson just in his weird 2017 crusade to be in every film ever. He's not managed it, but he's getting quite close. He's really good in the film, but this is actually more a story between the boy who inspired Christopher Robin in the books, because they used his real name, they used his real personality in his own stories, and he did not want to be a child star, and it kind of ruined his childhood, the Winnie the Pooh books. And it's a story about child fame and child celebrity and what that can do to someone who does not want it, and broken families, broken homes and such. It's actually really depressing and dark, and Margot Robbie is this terrible mother figure. The film is rated PG. It's meant to be for family audiences, but I feel like it really could have gone darker considering the actual true story in the source material. And also, much like Saving Mr. Banks, it does change a lot of the stories to make it more mainstream and accessible. There's a lot more darker undercurrents that you just could not sell to a mainstream audience. And also, they just rewrite history slightly, particularly the ending and what happens to Christopher Robin in the end, and what he does in later life. I think there's stuff that they very deliberately left out and obscured in the final moments of the film. But I thought it was pretty good. It probably is on the same level as Saving Mr. Banks. I'd give it about a 7 out of 10, but it is filled with really good performances. It's got some great scenery, and it's also just a really interesting story about how this character that brought joy to people at the end of the First World War, Winnie the Pooh, was actually came from really dark origins and some pretty dark beginnings. And now it will make you look at the very last Winnie the Pooh book in a completely different light because of how bittersweet and dark the final Winnie the Pooh book is. But I recommend it. I don't think you need to rush out to a movie theater and see it, but catch it on DVD.
They'll put it on Netflix in a few months. I'll check it out. I'll put it on my list.
It looks good on a big screen because there's some great scenery and environments, and the performances are great. But I don't think it's the quality itself coupled with that. I don't think is enough to justify an expensive ticket.
I genuinely do love Saving Mr. Banks. It's one of my favorite movies of the last few years. I think it's such a. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call the film dark. Apparently, like Christopher Robin was. I haven't seen it, but I think it's definitely a film that makes you rethink what you thought you knew about history, and I think the pinnacle of that movie is when your P.L. Travers is watching Mary Poppins on the big screen, and she's just bawling her eyes out. It was did I say Winnie the Pooh? I meant Mary Poppins. If I didn't say Mary Poppins, she's crying, and to the uninitiated, you think, oh, this is just a proud author that happy that her books are being adapted to the big screen, but in reality, it's like this. She's watching her childhood essentially be butchered and turned to a children's film.
Yeah, it's like for Saving Mr. Banks, because that is a Disney film portraying Walt Disney. Like it's a history is written by the victors type of movie. Yeah. Where they do sort of misconstrue P.L. Travers' actual reaction to Mary Poppins and kind of contort it to make it very pro-Disney and very pro-Mary Poppins.
Well, to be fair, you listen to the interview in the end credits when I think they're writing the Fly a Kite song with the Sherman Brothers or whatever, and they have the actual audio of when they did that play through the end credits of Save Mr. Banks. And you hear her talk, and she's just this really essentially Maggie Smith.
There's nothing quite to that extent for Goodbye Christopher Robin. But then when you look at the actual story, and you're like, oh, this kid, he did some weird things in his later life that this film has really gone out of its way.
Is anyone involved in that story still alive? Because I know World War I was a while ago. Like we're talking 100 years, so I don't think they would, but.
I think that the kid who plays Christopher Robin, he passed away quite a while ago, but his children also passed away quite recently.
Okay.
So I don't know if he has. He probably has grandchildren.
Yeah.
But maybe they were waiting for his
I was going to say,
to pass away.
they probably waited for his kids to die before they make the movie. Yep, that sounds about right. Classic Hollywood.
But yeah, and it's kind of like I had somebody question me on Facebook, and it was a completely fair rebuttal when I told them that I thought it was a bit weird how they changed history and how they misconstrued certain events, saying that you can't really mark the film down because it's not 100% historically accurate, and that's absolutely fine. I think for me it's sort of picking and choosing your battles.
Yeah.
Like for something like Titanic, I don't like that film because not because Jack and Rose weren't real people, but it's like the story of the Titanic is not a love story. That's completely missing.
It's a
the point of
disaster
why
movie.
Yeah,
It's it should be, essentially.
Yeah, and I'm sure there were romances and stuff like that on the actual ship.
And there
itself.
was a guy, there was a poor boy on there named Jack. Like, and that's like as accurate as that film gets. But we've talked about this before on the show. Like recently, we've had a Titanic chat, haven't we? I feel like we have.
I don't think. Maybe we have. I don't think we have recently, but it's probably come up once or twice.
Awful, but that's all I'm gonna say.
But it is a case of like picking and choosing your battles, and because film is so subjective, and it's different subject matters will you'll have a different response depending on what it is.
Well,
depending on
the
type
Steve
of person
Jobs
you are.
movie, the Steve Jobs film by Danny Boyle and Aaron Sorkin, is apparently, according to the character, is accurate, but the plot points and the things that happen that may not necessarily be incredibly accurate, but it's the characters that are real according to people that that were actually involved.
Well, you've also got the granddaughter of William Moulton Marsden, who's the creator of Wonder Woman, and she's coming forward saying that the film Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman, which is doing incredibly well critically at the moment.
Yeah, I might check it out.
She's gone on like a series of tweets sort of disowning the film, saying it's not accurate at all, the depiction is completely made up. Wonder Woman's meant to be a character about honesty. This film is not honest at all. Which is weird because, like, with the exception of what she's saying, everyone is saying, yeah, this is pretty accurate, but it's the granddaughter, so that kind of has its own level of authenticity. But it's like, will I not be a fan of that film because maybe it changed some aspects of history? I won't know until I see it, and I don't know what hill I want to die on or what battles I want to fight. All I know is that
do you hate on Inglourious Bastards because they kill Hitler? You know what I mean? Like,
No, I hate it for not killing Hitler enough.
Oh yeah, God, that was so loud that I popped my own ears in my headphones. Ow, sorry guys, my microphone peaked and I heard it. No, it's like, in generally speaking, what the audiences are willing to accept. You know, do you Django Unchained treats something like slavery, and I know these are more extremes, but they're still true events. They treat slavery more like a righteous revenge flick than something like that is a truly horrible. You know, it's about what the film is trying to get across, and you have to judge a film as what it is, which is a film.
Yeah, it was like when The Imitation Game came out, a lot of people decried it for its historical inaccuracy. I personally didn't. But then when I watched Saving Mr. Banks or Goodbye for Christopher Robin, something about it just irks me a little bit. Like, I'm not going to disown the film or say you shouldn't see it, but it kind of knocks it down a peg in my estimation, and I don't know why. It's sort of it's your own personal
maybe it's because Saving Mr. Banks treats that like a biopic. They treat it like it's a film, because like something like Steve Jobs is more about, they more or less just told a movie that is about Steve Jobs. It's not necessarily a movie about the life of Steve Jobs and about like what he did. It's more just a movie about the guy Steve Jobs. I think and there's a fine line there. Saving Mr. Banks is more about the event of P.L. Travers getting married and Mary Poppins getting made with the support of P.L. Travers and the conflict that occurred there. So maybe that's where the line is kind of drawn versus, like, what kind of movie you're trying to make. You know? Yeah,
and I also think the fact that Save Mr. Banks is a Disney production, and it does feel like it is them attempting to rewrite.
Is Disney involved? Is Disney involved with Christopher Robin at all?
No, it's a Fox Searchlight film, and Winnie the Pooh is
public domain.
I'm not sure who owns the character. He might be a public domain, but there's no like obvious ties in order to rewrite history. I'm just thinking that this film eschews some of the darker elements of the origin story in order to make a much broader, much more mainstream film
Yeah.
For kids. Even though I don't think this is a kid's story. I think this is one more for parents. And there's a couple of dark elements to the film. Like, for example, the mother, played by Margot Robbie, who does a really good job. Apparently, in real life, she had an incredibly traumatic birth that nearly killed her when giving birth to Christopher Robin. And it's just a one-handed, like, it's a throwaway line of dialogue. But that really is meant to inform her character and how she treated Christopher Robin in real life. But we're not seeing that on the screen because the film is restrained and it's holding back the subject matter. I think if it had gone for a PG-13 rating, just in terms of source material, or if it had gone maybe a bit more truer to the dark intention of the characters, as opposed to emphasis on the whimsy and the emphasis on
do you watch Nostalgia
beautiful
Critic?
Sunsets in the forest.
Do you watch Nostalgia Critic? Because he has a great talk about, like, I think it's Bridget Terabith, where he's like, I have to go to the whimsy bathroom. It's just him on the toilet, like waving his arms around with whimsical music in the background. It's just like whimsy. It's just him on the toilet.
Yeah. There's a bit of that, but. Yeah, I think it's the fact that while Saving Mr. Banks was history being rewritten by the victor of that particular character's rights dispute, this is sort of, let's kind of put some very glossy duct tape over some of the cracks of history and just kind of make this a lot more... Like, there's still some dark aspects to it, but I really think after looking at the real story, they could have taken it further. Maybe I'm more disappointed that they didn't go further as opposed to... like disliking the film itself as a whole on its own. It's a complicated discussion that I have no answer or any sort of frame of reference for in terms of having the discussion. But it's interesting nonetheless. But I'm still looking forward to Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women. Yeah,
I think it's already come out here in the States.
It has in the UK. I'm gonna have to. I'll double check the UK release date. We do not have a UK release date for The Disaster Artist yet, and I'm furious.
Oh, well, Trilbee, you're going to have to do with what I do with certain things. And
Chappie.
Yeah, you're going to...
Chappie watch Disaster Artist?
Yes, Chappie watch Disaster Artist. Chappie watch Franco.
It comes out on November 10th.
November 10th.
Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman.
I think we got it a couple weeks ago here. Well, I'll check it out when I have the chance. Should we get
Disaster Artist, December 1st.
Attaboy.
That must have happened like in the past couple of days.
I think we get it on the 10th. Or like
nice.
we get it like I think mother god damn, oh come on man, maybe Tom Wiseau is actually British and like we just don't know that.
Oh well, you can have him back. Have you heard that Tommy Wiseau has made a new film recently and it's actually meant to be pretty good?
No.
He's made a film with the guy who plays Mark.
him and Greg, best friends or whatever.
Yeah, best friends. That's actually meant to be pretty good.
Oh, great! Now we have to do an episode on it, Trilbee. Thanks for bringing it up. Now we got to do an episode on Tommy Wiseau movies.
Heartedly apologize.
On Tom was, you know what? We're either doing the holiday special or we're doing a Tommy Wiseau picture. I'm not doing both. I'm putting my foot down. All right. We've already got to get banded back for we already got to get banded back for the holiday special. I got to write that down on the list. Banded back for that.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry to derail the transition.
No, you're fine.
Listen to questions.
Let's get to listener questions.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, guys, this is the listener question portion of the show, which gives me answer listener questions on the Facebook page, facebook.com/moviemania. Podcast. All right, there it is. I had it. I lost it. There it is. Mitchell Radford asks, what do you think is the best way to do a movie twist as in a character has completely different motivations than the audience first thought?
It's all about going back and seeing if the pieces all line together and if it all fits naturally.
That is the absolute key to a good twist of any kind. Whether it's, the place was actually this, or the person was actually this, or the thing that we thought someone was doing, they were actually doing this. You know, it is all about if you can go back knowing that thing was there, and you can go, oh yeah, because that makes sense, because this is this. Split is probably the most recent example, I think, of a twist that does that beautifully. You can go back and watch Split and look at it as a villain origin story for like a superhero villain. because they place all the keynotes there. It's less subtle than some of the other films that have done that, but the direct... Have you seen Split yet?
I haven't, but I know.
Yeah, the director lady, the therapist, talks in the film about, like, her big thing is that these people are able to do certain things and change body chemistry, and they talk about how trauma can change people and how people have certain abilities, and like, and they bring it up, and at first you're thinking this is just a crazy theory, and then James McAvoy starts crawling on walls, and you're like, this is kind of stupid. This is kind of going out of nowhere. Why is this going like this? And then the film's final moments, you realize it's a sequel to Unbreakable, a superhero film. And now the entire film makes sense when you go back and watch it again. Split is a recent example of a film that does that. But Shyamalan's kind of a modern-day king of doing that. At least he was at the time. Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. Are you okay, buddy? Are you dying over
Yeah, because I've been shouting and directing all day. My
SARS, I get it, yeah.
Oh god, it's already started. What's this broken glass doing?
You just hear someone shattering a vial behind you. Like V for Vendetta. I killed you 10 minutes ago.
1 second. Oh, there's someone at the door here. I've got something for you. A letter.
Telegram from
it's got SARS in it.
No.
Courtesy of Trey.
Yeah.
But for the for Mitchell's question, going to the example he gives about a character having completely different motivations, it's probably not the best example of it recently, but it's one that comes to mind, and it's the guy from Frozen.
Yeah.
The one who the prince.
Yeah.
Because while he does a complete 180 in terms of characterization, what he does over the course of the film does kind of fit. It kind of fits that this character is making things up as he goes along based on the needs of the plot. Like, he had a plan initially, things got very complicated, and now he's adjusting his plan in accordance to what's happening around him. Mm-hmm. And in a way, it's such a big 180 that not everything in the first half of the film lines up, but for the most part, it seems quite organic to his character.
I think the granddaddy of these... Well, you know what? Let's look at a different one. What am I thinking? Bloody Psycho is a great example. If we're gonna let's go back. Let's go way back, because I was going to talk about Usual Suspects. Let's talk about Psycho. For you guys that haven't seen Psycho, it's a fantastic film. Watch it, even if you know the shower scene. It's not the best scene in the movie, so don't worry about it. It's fantastic. Go back and watch it. But spoilers for Psycho. We go through the entire film thinking that Norman Bates is helping his mother kill people in this motel that no one goes to anymore. And we always hear Norman Bates having this conversation with his mother, but we never see the horror of his mother we never see the horror of his mother. We think we hear her off stage. Excuse me. We see her off screen. We hear her, and we think, oh man, who's this awful woman that's just belittling this poor guy into convincing him to help murder these people. And at the end of the film, the main character goes down to the basement, and it's like, oh no, she sees Mrs. Bates. She's gonna find Mrs. Bates, and we turn around, and it's a skeleton. And you realize Mrs. Bates is dead, and then Norman walks in wearing a wig. Norman was pretending to be his mother. Norman's been the one killing the people the entire time. The seeds are all there, and when you watch the film, it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's got to hold up to scrutiny on multiple angles.
Yeah,
and also in terms of characters and them changing motivations, they've got, in a way, it's got to be hiding in plain sight.
Exactly.
So you've got to use
the red doorknob.
Like misdirection.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like how a magician does not want you to be looking at how the trick is done. It wants you to be looking at something else in another direction.
Yeah.
And one example that was coming to my head, that here's another recent animated film, Lotso Hugging Bear from Toy Story 3.
Holy shit! That is the best example. Oh my god, what a piece of human garbage. Sorry, no, you brought back some tragic memories.
Because that guy is very friendly,
yeah.
But there is still just a couple of moments that, when you watch it again, do add up to reveal this very dark and damaged character. And of course, it is obvious that he's going to be the villain in a way, but he just seems so friendly and such a hugger in the first act of the film.
Gives off like the first half is he gives off like this big like grandpa vibe of like I just want to give him a hug, but the second half gives off this like slave owner, like Shawshank prison warden vibe, and it's so good, and it happens on a dime, because you think, oh no, Ken is the main villain of the movie, and Buzz is going to expose what's going on here in this like conspiracy at the daycare center. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you guys haven't seen Toy Story 3, it's fantastic. Go watch it. And then it's one of the best movies ever. And then Lotso walks in, you're like, yeah, Lotso's going to save the day. It's like, tie him back up, and you're like, what? Hold on. Wait a minute. Stop. Wait a minute. Take it back a few steps. Let's watch that scene again. And you're right, Trilbee. It works. It really does. Because 10-year-old me was pretty shocked. And my mom, I won't give her age on the podcast, an older woman at the time just audibly went, asshole. I was just hearing that. I was like so shit. And my mom's a pretty smart lady. So, I mean, they got her. So Lotso Hugmer is a great example. Should we use the granddaddy of all these, which is Usual Suspects? Like, that's probably the king of it, isn't it?
Yes, I know the twist to Usual Suspects, but I've not seen it.
Okay, well, long story short, everything. This cop is trying to find out the key to this. I think it's a heist, right? I remember it's a heist, and they're looking for the guy, like the kind of ringleader of it. This guy named Kaiser Soze, and they have this witness, this guy, this limp, this cripple, if you will, named Verbal Kint, played by Kevin Spacey, and he is telling the story of how this all went down. And by the end of the film, you realize that Verbal Kint is Kaiser Soze, and you realize that he is the one, and they keep bringing up the word Kobayashi, which is a big part of the film, Kobayashi. And when the guy realizes, he drops his mug, and the bottom of his mug says Kobayashi, and you realize, and it's so fucked up. It's perfect, because everything about, and like it's all done in like one scene, because like everything that's in the story is little things seen around the room, and you realize that he's been piecing the story together by being in this room, and it's all there, and it's really the classic example. Like, I feel like that's what Edgar Wright based a lot of his storytelling on, because it's all there, and you can go back and watch it, and you can feel so stupid. I call it the Sherlock syndrome, because like in season 2, episode 1 of Sherlock, which is in my opinion one of the best episodes of any TV show ever. You spend 45 to an hour wondering what the password to someone's phone is, and when you find out what the password is, you just feel like an idiot, because you didn't figure it out at that point. But it's so clever. Yeah.
I've got 2 more examples.
Okay.
They're not exactly character based, but it is about pulling off a great twist.
Yeah.
In Hot Fuzz,
ooh, yes,
the incredibly elaborate plan and conspiracy that Nicholas Angel gives about
like land deals and stuff. Yeah.
About Timothy Dalton's character and everything. That is a completely legitimate theory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all based with evidence that he's been given. He's not made any of this up, even if he is hypothesizing a lot of it. So that's a legitimate thing. But then when you find out the actual motivation of the townspeople, it lines up with everything you've seen.
Appalling.
That is, yeah, he murdered Bill Shakespeare. It's equally legitimate. So it's all about being able to have one legitimate theory and make that credible, but then go with another legitimate theory that's just as credible, that the audience has just as, if not more, evidence to really solidify it. But another twist is, it's not exactly... It's understandable if you don't think of it as a twist, but it is an example of keeping things like hidden from the audience, even though they're in plain sight and the audience has all the information. In Reservoir Dogs, there's the scene when... where Blonde is going to cut off that guy's ear. He cuts off the ear, and then just as he's about to torture him even more and set him on fire, he is shot by someone off screen. Someone who is in the room with them, who the audience know is in the room with them, but have not seen him on camera for a couple of minutes. There's even a shot where it pans over to the left, so we don't see the guy get his ear cut off. But if the frame was even wider, we would see...
Are you trying to keep this spoiler free? Is that what you're trying to... Are you building to something?
I can't remember everybody's name in Reservoir Dogs.
Are you talking about Mr. Orange, Tim Roth?
Yeah, that's it. When the camera pans to the left, so we don't see the guy get his ear cut off, if we were to tilt down, we would see Orange laying on the floor. but because of the clever camera placement, he's not cheating.
Yeah. No.
He's not cheating. He's just hiding that character's presence for a few more seconds until he gets shot, and then Orange is revealed to him. He's there the whole time. The audience have known. It's kind of like a twist within a scene, but the audience has all the information.
And it's set up. And if you go back and watch, it's another film where you can go back and watch and see the progress, because it's a plot twist because he's revealed to be the cop, and you don't think he's going to be the cop until he is. Because he's just kind of been the chill young guy, and you think, oh, he's going to be like a young rebel, but at the same time, you go back and watch it, and he's the only one to give up information willingly to his superior, in the same way a cop would when they're talking about the tipping scene at the breakfast table, which essentially beautifully in like 9 minutes sets up every single one of their characters, like beautifully, like the relationships, the motivations, like everything is just there from the get-go. The foreshadowing. Everything is there in that opening scene of Reservoir Dogs, and it pays off at different points in the film. Mr. Blonde with the ear and Mr. Orange with shooting Mr. Blonde.
The reason I bring up that scene is that if you want to know how to do a twist well, but you don't want to watch a whole 90 or 100-minute film, but you'd rather watch just 10 minutes and get a quick crash course, I think just that's a twist within a scene.
Just watch
as opposed to
the first Saw film is a great example of a twist. The first Saw film has a beautiful twist in it. I'm not even sure I should give it away. Have you seen the first Saw film?
I've seen all of them. Jigsaw comes out in like a couple of days.
Oh yeah, that's out on Friday here in the States. The first Saw film is, I think, a beautiful example of it. And Saw films always do twists now. I'm actually pretty much still looking forward to the twist in this one. It's Carrie Elwes again. I think the first Saw one is a bit of like it's a left field twist, but it works within the context, like the rules that it's set up. I bought it. You know though.
I still bought it. I think that the twists for 2, 3, and 4 are more of a holy shit moment. Yeah, as in something that you could watch again and be carried along.
The whole Amanda thing, and so I think it's Saw 2 where you find out it's Amanda. You're like, the fuck? Like, hold on, wait a minute. But at the same time, watching the Saw film for the first time, the first one, it's this phrase that a lot of people say, but I was shook, Trilbee. I was genuinely shaken when that movie ended. I was like, wait a minute. All right, rewind. I had to rewind it.
But it's also Saw 4 when you have the reveal that 3 and 4 are taking place at the exact same time.
Yes.
And you hear like the dialogue from another room taking place in the background.
Yeah.
And you're like, I recognize that. And then all the pieces start to come together.
Saw 4 is where the cop, where he kills, where it ends with what's his face getting his head crushed by the ice, right? That's where Saw 4 leaves off, because he's gonna save what's his face, Donnie Wahlberg, right? Yeah, that's 4.
Yes, that is 4.
That's 4 because 3's the one with the hospital and he kills Jigsaw at the end. Spoilers.
Got. Is that Eric Matthews?
I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah. God, those movies are so intricate, and they're oddly put to, like, they're oddly, like, well connected. Like, they're not all of them are good films, but they're all beautifully connected together in a way that seems oddly not convoluted. You know what I mean? Like, it's like in a way that seems like I'm like, yeah, no, I know that makes sense. Yeah, because this is here. Yeah, it all pieces together.
Yeah, I think it is so convoluted, but I really admire it for working as well as it does.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they just straighten up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, even if none of it fit, I would just admire them for trying.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this one, like, if it's gonna like tie into Jigsaw, or if they're just gonna straight up just reboot it and kind of Force Awakens this. You know what I mean? Or I'm kind of upset that it's not all.
What? when you Force Awakens it.
Yeah.
I guess I decided what's the name of Dr. Gordon.
Yeah.
I just imagine him just sort of limping into a bathroom and going, Chewie,
we're home.
And it's the bathroom from the first
He's just talking to Adam's corpse. It's just dead corpse. This pile of bones. I like to imagine, like, it's like at the end, like, you just see like Dr. Gordon like limp, like the new Dr. Gordon like limps onto like a cliffside, and you just see Tobin Bell turn around in his hood, and then it's like pulls his hood down.
He's got the clown makeup on.
I want to play a game. He just puts his hand out. Cut to credits. I know. I'm excited. I'm going. I'm going next week. I'm pretty excited.
The thing is, I guess I have no idea what to expect from it. I like that.
I don't know if they're gonna go super gory with it. I don't know if they're gonna go like really schlocky with it. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how seriously they're gonna take this film. The marketing isn't taking it very seriously, so I'm hoping it's more fun than like facetious. Not facetious. Like wanky. There it is. That's a proper term.
That was just you trying to do a sophisticated word, and you just felt it.
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
Well, I'm looking on the BBFC website, which is the website that does all of the ratings and the certificates for films in the UK. It's rated 18 for intense blood and violence and gore and stuff. So it seems like that they are going to go gory.
All right.
Which is good.
Well, the first one I think does a good job and doesn't show a lot of gore. You know, a lot of it is more implied.
I can read the BBFC certificate description for Jigsaw if you like.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think there's spoilers here, but okay. So, it's rated 18. It says there are scenes of sadistic violence in which people are forced to participate in murderous games.
No.
Bloody moments include limbs being ripped off, a man's head being cut open, and shootings and neck stabbings, all of which are depicted with strong, gory detail.
Nice.
Okay.
A man's head is ripped open? That sounds like a reverse bear trap.
A dead body is discovered with its skull completely caved in.
Holy shit.
There are shots of a badly injured head which has been sliced open, exposing bone and brain matter.
Okay.
There is also strong language, and in brackets, fuck.
Really?
Scenes of sustained threat and violence, moderate sex references, and references to the death of a baby.
Moderate sex, so someone's gonna be like, blow me, and I'm probably talking about when Jigsaw lost his kid. But I know way too much about these movies. I'm sorry.
I did this on like the first wave of film Brits with Sam.
Yeah.
But the BBFC description of Avengers: Age of Ultron is the funniest thing I've ever read. Like there were frequent scenes of moderate fantasy violence in which various characters, some of whom have superpowers, fight each other or battle an army of robots. Action includes the use of guns, futuristic weaponry, punches, kicks, a bow and arrow, and a hammer.
Listen, hey man, to Sally Grandma that doesn't understand what Marvel Avengers movies are, they gotta know what they're taking their little kid to.
There's also occasional use of mild bad language, and in brackets, bastard, shit, dick, son of a bitch, and piss.
Yeah.
An innuendo, including a joke about a man lifting a heavy object not being able to get it up.
Nothing about prima nocta, huh? they let that one slip, huh?
Yeah, there's no prima nocta.
Yeah.
I just love how deadpan the BBFC's description.
Well, they're English, Trilbee. I mean, I don't know what you're expecting.
Well, it's so matter of fact by necessity.
Yeah. All right. Do you have another question, Trilbee?
Yeah, I've got one I can quickly do. Tom Quark asks thoughts on Star Trek Discovery. Have you watched any?
I have not. No.
Because it's on Netflix. I've watched the first 3 episodes. Bear in mind, I've never watched any Star Trek apart from about 5 or 6 of the movies. I've not watched any of the TV series.
You got it, Trilbee. You got to get on the Next Gen train. Next Gen's a good show, man. I used to watch that when I was younger. Mr. Wolffire. Sorry, no, I'm sorry.
No,
my inner nerd started spilling out there. I apologize.
I probably will watch it maybe if it ever does come to Netflix or Amazon Prime or something.
Okay.
I think because the investment of getting a big DVD box set would be a bit much for some.
Because Next Gen is on Netflix. I just assumed it was there in UK.
I don't think it's on UK Netflix.
Whoopsie daisy.
That's all right. But for Star Trek Discovery, I'm 3 episodes in. I think there are 5 of them on Netflix at the moment. But I like the cast. I like Jason Isaacs. I like I forget who plays the lead, but in the series, her name is Michael, but I'm forgetting who plays her.
Is she the main character?
Yes, she is.
She's in The Walking Dead. I think it's something.
Sonika Martin Green.
Yeah.
I like Doug Jones. It's great just to see
him. Does he
like,
play an alien?
He does. He plays like a 7-foot tall prosthetic alien creature. I
actually
think he's really good.
Oh yeah, no, he's a good actor. You know, Abe Sapien, man. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the cast is uniformly good. I think the first 2 episodes doing like a prologue, and then episode 3 kickstarts the series properly.
I am just looking forward to because what makes, even in the movies, like what makes the movies so the Star Trek, because I love me some Star Wars, I'm not going to deny it, but what makes Star Trek good is just it's the people, it's the characters interacting, and it's not just the sci-fi action that Star Wars can bring. And Star Wars has great characters too, but it's that sense of, I don't know if it's camaraderie or just a sense of like, I'm just watching people be good at their job. You know what I mean? It has that, I don't want to say subtlety, it has that more nuanceness that most Star Wars films, with the exception of a couple, kind of don't reach most of their time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with I know
Star Wars is still better though. So yeah.
I do not have a stake in this fight.
Yeah.
But for Star Trek Discovery, I know some people who are big fans of the other TV series have been saying that they want a more optimistic look at Star Trek, and they want this and that. For me, I think this looks like a very pragmatic.
Are the villains? Do you know who the villains are? Like, who are the big kind of threat this season? Do you know who they are yet?
The first 2 episodes is very focused on like the Klingon.
Ah, great, sure, all right.
But then episode 3 is set like 10 years into the Klingon Federation War.
Okay.
And then, I'm only 3 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they are going for a sort of like do the ends justify the means to end a war of this scale type of plotline. So basically the villains are coming from inside the Federation by the looks of it.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes in, but I think it's a 15-episode series, so things could change, the dynamics could shift, who knows.
Right on.
But I like the pragmatic sort of the ambiguity that we're getting in terms of the morals of the characters, because that's kind of what we need right now. And kind of the Klingons, who are the Klingon characters, are basically alien ISIS with a bit of "Make America Great Again" rhetoric.
Yeah.
And that sort of it seems very fitting at the moment, and it seems very in keeping with the series attempts to try and be progressive and also forward thinking, but very much of the now and what we need to hear at the moment. So I think Jason Isaacs is really good, even though he's got villain written all over him. And I do like the cast. The production values are surprisingly strong. In the UK, you're able to watch this on Netflix, but I know in America you have to watch subscribe to CBS All Access and go through a bunch of hoops and pay $20 a month or whatever. But I'm grateful I'm able to just watch this on Netflix, and just it's bingeable. I've enjoyed the first 3 episodes, and I'm hoping to watch the next 3 over the next couple of days. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's good so far. But this is coming from someone who has only watched a couple of the films, and I only really loved Wrath of Khan and Star Trek Beyond. So take my opinion with a grain of salt if you are a huge Trek fan who has for some reason not watched Star Trek Discovery yet, but I've enjoyed what I've seen so far.
Right on. All right. Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a shot whenever I have the time. I got a Stranger Things season 2 comes on the 27th of October, and then I'm gonna check out Mindhunter, which is a new Fincher show on Netflix.
Yes,
and so once I get through, okay, I'm almost.
I dropped a plastic bottle.
No, okay, it's fine. I was just curious. I'm almost done with West Wing. So once I get through those, that's gonna be my next kind of mood of tackle. I'm gonna have to watch Stranger Things opening weekend just because I have too many idiots at school that are gonna want to ruin that for me. Okay, so another question here on Facebook. Liam Stobie asks, well, I'll let you go here in a minute, but this will be the last one. Liam Stobie on Facebook asks, what do you think the main reason is for the success of comic movies over video game movies, since both are based on different media formats that audiences may not be familiar with?
Since I rambled about Star Trek Discovery, do you want to start, or do you want me to? I kind of have an answer.
I just think that, and I mean, he also continued on to say that one has transitioned better into film, and I think that is your problem, is that it's a comic book. It's not. It's like saying, because the Disney animated films have not all beautifully translated into live action film work, and I think the problem with most video games that they are trying to adapt they're either Mario, where it's just like you're going from left to right and killing some things along the way, or it's like Assassin's Creed or Warcraft, where there's story and lore and characters, and a lot of it's very cinematic already. And the problem with when you adapt, like, for the love of God, give me a Last of Us movie, please. But at the same time, start making the movies good first. But the problem is Last of Us, which is my best, which is the favorite game all time. It's fantastic. Play The Last of Us if you haven't played it. The sequel looks so good. It's already essentially a playable movie. There are 2.5-hour playthroughs of The Last of Us. I think it's like a cutscene. Like cutscenes are like 2.5 hours long, and they cut it down to a movie, and it's a pretty good film. And so the translation is a lot tougher. But they're not really choosing to adapt movies or games that I think would work well as movies. Like a Call of Duty movie is easy to do. That's not that hard to pull off. It's a Call of Duty movie. Just do Zero Dark 30 meets, like, I don't know, Battle Los Angeles. Just take out the aliens. Like, just a war film, you know what I mean? It's just a war film with cool action set pieces. And I think that they're, in many ways, adapting the wrong style of, you know what I mean? They didn't do Doctor Strange right off the bat. When they started doing the superhero stuff 10, 20 years ago. You know, they didn't start off like they did X-Men. You know, they did things that they knew they could adapt easier. They did Blade, X-Men, Spider-Man. And then they slowly started doing, like, I guess we'll do Iron Man. Oh, I guess we'll try Thor. Okay, now we can do Doctor Strange. You know, they built up to it. They didn't just start off by saying, first movie out the bat's Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's just go. You know?
Yeah, the difference between comic book adaptations and video game adaptations is that with video game adaptations, you're taking something away. You're taking away the gameplay and the player agency.
That's another thing, yeah.
Whereas with comic book movies, you're adding motion. You're adding the other elements that you just don't get within the static pages of a comic book.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of it just comes down to time. Like there was like a very long period of time where you'd only get maybe 1 or 2 good superhero films, like a decade. Mm-hmm. Whereas now we get 1 or 2 good superhero movies
a year.
A season.
Oh, you know what? You're not wrong. Yeah.
I think video games just need a bit more time to come into their own, and also just to have the experience and to learn from the failures of the previous ones. And also comic book movies, they are able to adapt storylines that are decades and decades old. Mm-hmm. Like Captain America Winter Soldier, they're able to take the actual Winter Soldier storyline from the comics and adapt it and change what they can look at the comic book series and say, that didn't work, or that's not going to fit in now, let's change it and adapt it, and let's use hindsight to make this film better.
Yeah.
Whereas video games don't have that sort of legacy behind them yet. Like The Last of Us is just one game. And Mario, even though they've got decades of continuity to draw on, is a very simple setup. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it will just come down to time and experience, and just
even way back when, you know, they've always been adapting books, and that's because something like, but that's why you adapt a book, but you don't adapt a board game. You know, they weren't making chess movies. You know, they weren't making a movie about the game of chess back when they were adapting like Wizard of Oz. You know, it's about what can translate to the screen well, and they're trying to translate video games to the screen well. And I wish I could say just get competent filmmakers, but they've gotten competent filmmakers, and it still hasn't worked. Like they got Doug Jones and what's his face from Macbeth, and they made
Justin Kurzel.
Yeah, and then who are good filmmakers. Some I think are better than others, but still I think good filmmakers gave us crappy films. What's another recent video game movie that bombed? I don't remember. They're all pretty much awful. What's coming out? There's a big Lara Croft. Lara Croft should be easy to do, but it looks awful. And I saw the trailer before Blade Runner, and it just looks like that's going to be the worst. I'm not looking forward to it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the generation of like teenagers and kids who grew up with these video games, and then 20, 30, 40 years later they become directors and they make these adaptations. Mm-hmm. Just like how people who are making comic book movies now grew up reading comic books when they were kids in the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a generational thing. I think video game movies really just need a lot more time to come into their own. I mean, we watched a lot of shit before we got to Avengers and The Dark Knight and all that stuff. We sat through Steel, Catwoman, Elektra, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Good
God, you're right. Yes, you know what? You're not right. At the same time, we haven't gotten a film that's so deadly to the video game genre that it takes a Christopher Nolan to bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films were great at the time, but Batman and Robin, like, that genre was gone. And then Spider-Man comes out, and we're like, I mean, I guess. But then Nolan's like, you know what? Dark Knight. And everyone's just like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And then suddenly, they're all making $1 billion. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Even though, like, we've got a formula and aesthetic down, and audiences are definitely sold on comic book movies, we still get a terrible one every so often, like Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah, no,
or Suicide Squad.
I don't think we get many great ones. I think, you know, but at the same time, there aren't many fantastic video games that come out every year. Like, there are like maybe 5 or 6 where everyone's like, that's the best game of the year. In terms of like the mainstream games, I know there's a bunch of indie games. Everyone's like, oh, indie, blah 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 on Steam, but I don't want to get into video games on this podcast. So
I'm looking forward to the Tetris trilogy. That'll be.
But that's my thing, right? Like, so that's my thing. Like,
it's the best movie since the Emoji.
Like, make like everyone's like, it's like a Pong movie. I'm like, don't make a fucking Pong movie. Like, Mario can work. You can make a Mario movie work. First of all, you don't do live action because that's just not. The Mario outfit doesn't look good in live action. People have tried and it just doesn't work. It's overalls. So like, just animate it. It's going to work. And just like give it to like Pixar or Leica. Let Leica make a Mario movie. I'd pay a lot of money to watch that.
But we don't have the formula yet, but we're not going to get the formula if filmmakers don't keep on trying to perfect it and keep on attempting it. So
Thomas Edison didn't make the light bulb the first try. In fact, many times it blew up in his face.
Exactly. We are going to have to sit through a lot more shit, but hopefully in about a decade or two's time, we'll be going through a golden age of awesome video game adaptations.
You hear that, Hollywood? Wait 20 years for me to start making movies so I can make The Last of Us. Don't. I see you, Sam Raimi. Back off. I heard. I read the reports. That's right. Step down.
Well, so is that if you, for some reason, if Hollywood said, okay, we're going to wait until Trey becomes a director before we make a comic book movie, would The Last of Us be the one for you?
If I had to adapt one, most definitely. Just because it's all there, you know what I mean? It's just a matter. It's like if I was to do an Avatar Last Airbender movie, it's all there. At that point you're just whittling down. You're trimming fat at that point. At that point you're just telling a competent 2.5 hour flick, because there's no way you can make that less than 2.5 hours. Like, that's a lot happens in that game, and it is essentially broken up into 3 acts, but you have a lot that happens there. You have all the stuff with Bill. Have you played the game, the first one?
Oh yeah,
you've got the stuff with Bill and Henry and Sam. You have the stuff at the college. You have the stuff with David in the woods in the wintertime, which is the best part of the game. Chilling stuff. You have the end fight with Marlene and the Fireflies. Yeah, so much happens in that you can't. You know, we're not going to talk about this here. In fact, what we're going to do is close out the show. Thank you guys all for listening. Did you want to say something, Trilbee, before I close it off?
Wouldn't a Pong adaptation just be a tennis film? Like, couldn't you just rename Battle of the Sexes Pong? And that is the film.
Essentially, I mean, if you want me to pitch a Pong movie, 2 guys wake up in a room, and one guy and a TV, a small TV, and it pops up and says, "So I'm gonna drop a ball down in the ceiling, and whoever drops it first dies." You know what I'm saying? And they have to throw it to each other across the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my Pong movie.
Yours would be a twisted saw.
Yeah, it's a saw trap. It's like in Saw. It's a twisted saw trap. All right.
But whoever decides to do a Pokemon movie first and gets the formula right is going to be guaranteed the first $1 billion
oh god,
video game adaptation.
Making a good Pokemon movie, that is bank. We're gonna get 17 more after that.
I think that's easy, making a live-action Pokemon movie, but the creatures are CGI.
Making a live-action Legend of Zelda movie is easy. They already made one, and they called it Kupo. Like, making a Zelda movie is easy. That's not challenging at all. But I don't understand why they haven't done it yet.
I think we just have to grow up and show Hollywood the way.
Well, you've got about a decade on me, but I mean, it's fine.
I've got... you are going to be pissed in 2025,
right?
Trilbee's directing The Last of Us.
Right, like I'm just like the poster for it's like a film by William. I'm like, god damn it. I would like just go I make a phone call like I'm like, hey, so Hey man, so it's kind of, that was kind of my idea. So I mean, like, will I get like story credit or? And then you're.
Oh wait a second, Trey. What time is it? It's 2 p.m. Oh, he should be here right now. There's a knock at your door. Telegram for you, Trey. It's just my middle finger on a piece of paper.
No, that's how I find out. It's just like by Phil. Like I'm just sitting at home drinking my coffee or whatever, and you're like I'm just like typing a script or something, and just get a telegram for Sherman White, and just hand it to me, just a poster of The Last of Us with like directed by you. I'm just like motherfucker.
Just coming full circle.
And I just get my hammer like, you know what, swine flu, and I just hit the wall.
You know what, Trilbee? Ah, syphilis.
Syphilis. I just email you a picture of a wheelchair and says, "Good luck with polio, motherfucker."
And then 20 years
and
time,
you just see, like,
you direct the biopic on my life.
Yeah,
and
some
how
guy
I
drops from the ceiling and stabs you with a syringe, and you're like, just stop working. Oh.
Oh boy! Like there's that Andrew Garfield film directed by Andy Serkis called Breathe. Yeah. You end up making a biography on my life, like similar to that.
Will.
You give me a disease, and then you direct my biopic.
It's like if Aaron Burr made a Hamilton movie. Oh, whoops! I don't know what I've started. Those Hamilton fans are rabid. All right, thank you very much for listening, everybody. What did I say? Thank you very much for listening. Like and subscribe. Where people find you?
You can find me hiring a load of postmen to send personal telegrams.
This has been a Pony Express is going to be alive. It's growing lately. Oh man.
You can find me on my currently broken but slowly fixing website at www.trilbee.com. You can also find me on YouTube at Trilbee Reviews. You can find my Patreon if you'd like to be in the credits of my horror short Before He Wakes and get some behind the scenes footage. We got some really funny outtakes during the filming today, which I'm going to upload exclusively for the patrons. So go on www.patreon.com/Trilbee. You can also follow me on Twitter at Trilbee Reviews. Trey, where can the lovely people find you giving everyone polio or syphilis or swine flu?
God, Jigsaw's coming out in IMAX this weekend? Well, I have my plans. You can find me at my nearest IMAX theater.
You can find Trey suspended in an elaborate death.
You can find me at my nearest IMAX theater, just gawking with popcorn in my jaw, watching Jigsaw this weekend. God, I'm excited. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Podcast Media. My short films, multiple, plural, are in the works. I'm in the process of making a couple of those. Colleges, if you're listening, please. I know my math grade isn't great, but if you could, I beg of thee. Yeah, it's a senior year, so that's all happening. Scholarships, financial aid. I need a nap. Catch you next week or whenever you guys hear this, whatever the next we post the podcast is. We record these. We've pretty much been recording these weekly. I'm just being lazy. That's really what it is, guys. Don't blame Trilbee or Bandit. It's all my fault.
Yeah, we didn't do one last week, which was my fault. Yeah. The rest is on you.
Yeah, what about Trilbee is unembellished. He's not even gonna be English, but he's like, no, this is all Trey being a lazy second. Okay, catch you all later, our movie maniacs.